Coming at you live, this is week number 12 here for Street Fighter League Japan 2022. My name is Vicious here with Saint Cola. And again, there's only a few more weeks until the big playoffs happen, which means there's only a few more matches to play for some of these teams to secure their spot into the playoffs. We've taken a look so far at what's been happening week after week, and it's been nothing but exciting matches. In fact, we even highlighted one of the biggest matches we've had thus far earlier in the preview, if you're watching over at Capcom Fighters Japan, where we actually had it was Dogra going up against Uryo, where we talked about that matchup. But overall, it's still going to be just as exciting as ever because it just does not stop, right? Some of these teams are going to be securing their spots, and some of these teams will be going home. St. Cola, what can we expect for this week's battles?
I mean, this week we're going to expect Comprised Detonation to come back at the bat. I'm curious to see if they're still in contention, but either way, they're still going to come with that heat and that great play because, once again, we're in the tryouts, or we passed the tryouts, we passed the draft, we're in the league position, we're closer to the finale, closer to the playoffs, and almost towards the grand finale to see what's the strongest team going to be in Street Fighter League Japan history. But the action does not stop there because the best team is going to move on to fight the US and the EU. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Once again, Comprised Detonation up on the squad against GyoGun, who is below that qualification zone, and they're going to try to get to as many points as possible. Even if Comprised Detonation isn't able to qualify right now, they're still going to try to play spoiler. Same with the side of things of Team Itsuka. They're already sitting on the benches and going to take as many points as possible away from Shinobiism Gaming. Shinobiism Gaming want to stay in that second place zone.
We talked about the possible contention points for Comprised Detonation. They need to play near flawlessly. As for their opponents, they need to play as poorly as possible. And that's the only way they could possibly make it past that advanced borderline into the playoffs, right? Because we're only looking from 2nd through 5th at the moment, because as it stands, Good 8 squad has been completely dominant thus far this season, which is kind of expected, right? They're looking for that 8 million yen prize pool to go deep into their pockets. Of course, getting the lion's share for first place, 5 million yen, second place, 2 million yen, and third place with a million yen for the team. But again, you talked about it earlier, right? The champions are indeed looking for the big battle against Street Fighter League EU as well as Street Fighter League US. We had announced it over the big Capcom Cup tweet not too long ago, knowing full well that Street Fighter League is going to be a part of that entire festival. It is a week-long festival, so we highly encourage you guys to check out all the details to possibly see Aru and Hamiko there as well. Hopefully Yamato can fly out too. You'll definitely see us there as well. But as it stands right now, we are focused on this matchup. GyoGun versus Comprised Detonation. It's going to be completely unpredictable, man, because we've seen what Hamiko had chosen for who's going to go up against who. We have already gotten ourselves the roster for the away team. But before we even get ahead of ourselves, again, be sure to follow along at Capcom_esports on Twitter for all the information as to what happens in those pre-game segments, right? Hamiko's Choice has some of the most detailed things, and it's super interesting to watch. I love their breakdown of the games. But enough about all that. Let's talk about Comprised Detonation. They're going to be up on deck as the away team, led by their captain,
We're gonna
the
have
strong arm killer, Inobashi Zangief going in with G. And of course, Nauman on the side of the Brave, the hero side that is, coming in with Luke or Cody if need be. But if that Cody doesn't come out, well, this one just might. It's John Takeuchi, the baby-faced trickster. Last but not least, the aces return. It's Uryo with a very, very passionate Rose coming in to fill in the squad. And Comprised Detonation, again, they need to play flawlessly, Saint Cola. If not, they might be saying night-night to those dreams of playoffs.
Might get slapped out here, but GyoGun trying to get it done. They are below the qualification zone. Let's take a look who's on that team and who's super mean. Swimming up with the school officials, the 2D god himself, Mago, leading the charge with that Karen, but mostly that Luke play we typically see from him. And trying to get that win is Mr. Optimal himself with the Nakali and a variety of characters, Bison and Lucia, also in his toolkit. Suzaku, Mizuha coming through, been doing a lot of work with the Cody, more so than the Luke that we see on the screen right there. And then to end things off, the hero of Sunrise himself, Moke, with that fog play. and that Rashid play that has been putting a wrench into the works of many of these teams. We're going to have to do a lot of work. We talk about how flawless Complement detonation has to be, but GyoGun almost is that same sort of situation. They're below that qualification zone. I think they're about 20 points away from the side of FAV Gaming, that they're right below that area, so they need as many as possible to stay in the qualification zone, to get in the qualification, I should say, and stay in there. And now we see Team Detonation coming up with their characters. What do you think about the selection?
You know, I would have loved to see Uryo come back for the away squad. Looking at Nauman, Itabashi, and John Takeuchi, it's a very powerful lineup. I think, though, the way Uryo has been playing, it's been, I feel like, it could have been maybe in like an anchor position kind of Uryo, because he's been super strong lately. But I do like the diversity of the playstyles here for Camouflage Detonation. It's going to give a lot to think about for Team GyoGun. Going into it, right, Nauman being up first, locking in with Luke. I believe Mizuha was the choice for Hameko. He had figured that maybe Mizuha would take up against Nauman, but if not him, it might be Mago. So it might just be the mirror match if need be.
Okay, Mago, no stranger to the danger when it comes to the mirror match. You know, we've seen him utilize that against the likes of Bonchan, and even running it back right after that with the first one. But when it comes to Luke's, everyone's different out here. Everyone's starting to feel their style or find their style with this character. As time has gone on, you know, it's the newest character, so it takes a little bit to kind of get with it. It takes a little bit to figure out how you want to play, and everyone has something different. We see Yamaguchi with a more defensive sort of style. We see Mago with that sort of momentum, and we're gonna see how this mirror match winds down, because it's really a case of how you fight that person, how you acclimate to that person's play style, because you have the same toolkit. But however, the Luke mirror match, I've been talking with this like with the likes of Punk and things like that, they kind of enjoy it because it's a very fundamentals based mirror match, because there's not a lot of tricks that Luke has. It's fireballs, DPs, confirms, and things like that. You're not looking for the mix with it. You're looking for those big buttons to outpoke the other person, but you play at the same ranges, so it's still going to be an exciting match either way.
Yeah, you're going to see a lot of a slowdown in the beginning, the very beginning, to kind of get that kind of data as to how the other person's going to play. But Mago, I feel like, has always been the offensive type, right? He's always been the kind of bulldog-ish person to move on into the spaces and tempt you into pressing buttons, right? For better or worse, really, there's been a couple of times where that strategy had backfired because Mago had not been on point that day. There had been numerous instances that we could highlight where some of these low forwards hit or miss, he wouldn't be ready for either one and would sometimes commit to some of the bad ones. And I get it, man. Sometimes online it could be a little bit iffy, but also there are moments where the 2D god looks like a mere mortal. It does absolutely happen. As for Nauman, he also has not had the impressive record that we have been expecting for an EVO champion, to be quite honest with you. Nauman, so far, has not been able to put on as many points as we had thought because of the fact that he has been playing Luke. He hasn't fully acclimated to everybody's playstyle in the league. And the fact of the matter is, he's still struggling on Camouflage Detonation. Not to take away from his playstyle, not to take away from his demeanor or his capabilities, but he needs to make it count, especially this week, especially against someone like Mago, who's looking pretty decent, right? 55% win rate, not bad at all, with 75 points to his name.
Nauman does say that he has some hidden tactics prepped up for this mirror match. I'm so curious to see what that is, and so is Mago, because Mago says hidden secret tactics. Wonder what's going to be. Suppressor, V-trigger? Not sure. I would have to play best. And I like that Mago pointed out the suppressor. I feel like a lot of Luke players have moved to it. We saw it actually in the last episode where Nauman did the Nauman, which is the anti-air V skill too, and you know, starting to popularize that kind of ability. But I do like the inclusion of that V skill too. I like it because you get the layer on the offense. I went to a stream right after, and he still likes to flip back and forth between the V skills. He thinks that they're both good because V skill 1 allows you to get that post stun fun with a ton of damage, but the V skill 2 has a lot of utility, especially in the corner and layering on the offense. They have to guess even more so because it's -2 on block, but you can cancel into the EX moves afterwards to catch him lacking and slacking. We'll see if Mago's going to be doing that. I think he's going to be well acclimated to that idea, so let's hope that he has something more than just a switch up of the V skills.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how Mago's defense is going to fare up. I know we've talked about his offense more often than not, but when it comes to the mix-up potential from Suppressor, it's been very difficult to contest against, and Nauman has made that pretty much known with his performance from last week, or I guess technically on Tuesday morning, right? Week 11, we saw how impressive it was against Inaba, being able to layer on the mix between the strike and throw game, and that can be pretty imperative in the corner. So with that in mind, I think the Suppressor 2 utilization is going to be something Mago really needs to take into consideration. But it really depends. Will Nauman even get to that situation in the first place or not?
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, one difference that Bison and Luke have is that the fact that Luke does have the bust out, and someone like Mago is willing to do so if he feels he's holding too much pressure. Having that EXDP, that reversal situation, might help out in that mix with it, or it could just be a bait on the side of Nauman. And Nauman, once again, maybe not having the best results. I feel like after we saw him in that last episode, I feel like he's really found his way with that Luke play, really found his style. We talk about the aggression from Mago. Nauman's sort of in that same sort of sense. We saw that previously with the Sakura play. He's played a little bit of Kin. He's got a little bit of Allura too as well. But I feel like that DNA is also there. It's a different sort of flavor that we see from Mago, because I feel like Mago's a little more momentum based. But we're going to see who's got the most aggression, who's got the power right there. Versa 2 is going to set the stage for a lot of things. And once again, compliment Detonation needing as many points as possible. I do like them overall setting up Nauman, especially after he's kind of found himself after that last win, the last episode. So hopefully we can carry that on and keep getting the points for the team. But Mago, it's not going to be easy against the 2D god himself.
Yeah, and there's other ways to kind of play Luke in a very annoying manner, right? Like, if you could also bulldog somebody, like we talked about that for both sides. There could be a lot of bulldogging into the corner, etc. But we can't forget one of the biggest factors he has that make him pretty strong, right? The fireball game, one of the best, if not the best fireball game in the business. That could be such a big deterrent against somebody who wants to play bulldog-ish, right? So I think if you are Nauman, you could test the ropes a little bit with the fireball. Or the same could be said for Mago, right? If he thinks Nauman is going to be the offensive player, he could kind of pump the brakes a little bit and throw out some of those sandblasters just to kind of gauge where Nauman's at. And pretty much, I trust Mago's fireball game. Without a doubt. I think, he's been in the game and understands a lot more about the fireball game, the traditional fireball game. Not to take away from Nauman, but again, it could be a huge deterrent. Let's see. It's going to be game 1, battle 1 for these two players. Mago versus Nauman, GyoGun versus Camouflage Detonation. You saw him shake hands already with the sandblasters, right? That's it.
Let's make a deal.
Not a lot of openings just yet. They're still trying to test the waters. A couple of mediums being within range, still being blocked also. There's the big exchange. That trade combo could have been so much better for Mago. How do you believe? There's the big low forward confirmed. Excellent timing from Nauman, catching Mago slipping going forward.
Ooh, right back at him with the jab. Target combo and the back throw. It's right back in the corner. Hold this throw. Mago with the V-bar at the bottom. Another knuckle sandwich. 2 servings right there. He's serving up a win because he's going to get that stun off the target combo. He's getting done. Builds up for that post-up punch. Doesn't even need to do so because Luke has more than enough damage to finish off that sequence. And Mago looking real dominant. Even though he got hit with that crouch weenie kick, still was able to get that back throw. Take down in the corner.
You know it is. You saw Nauman kind of use the standing right kick as a counter poke. Mago was still able to catch that and punish it with another low forward. And now we see ourselves in another similar situation from the previous round. Instead of the left corner, it's the right. We're going to see if Nauman can get himself a bust out. He does because of Mago. He's the one that actually ran into it. And there's the side switch combo. Nauman goes for the throw, trying to establish himself. But Mago not going to give it to him yet. Will he fire out of this corner? Will he try to jump out? The low forward connects again for Nauman. A good amount of damage.
Suppressor. Yeah, stagger set some of these normals. Hits him with the medium kick. Ton of damage. I guess finesse super just yet, but he's got the part, trying to finish. He can get the right combo. The V skill used in the neutral. Not even on a wake-up situation. I like that rear back, but just like that, it's a clap back from Mago with the super to seal it. He's looking for that confirm and finds himself a W and the first win going to Mago.
I think that's probably the best I've seen both of these players play. I think they've hit almost every confirm that they could. Also have landed a good amount of whiff punishes. And I gotta say, it's looking pretty sharp. Nauman came out swinging at pretty much the same tempo that Mago was. It was just one instance where he got thrown into the corner and had to pretty much guess for his life a few amount of time. I think Mago had layered his offense already pretty ambiguously. So we'll see how it plays off in game number 2. Nauman also trying to weave through.
4 Fears, target combo, nice fade away, just outside the distance of the tech. That medium punch, hold this throw, bro, after my plus frames. Try to get that heavy kick too far out, the trade, not too bad. You can't touch up in front of his face, that could have been bad. Nauman still getting the stun and done. Ooh.
Slight mishap, pretty much from both ends, except Mago, I don't know in what instance he was trying to pump up V-skill. I don't know if he had thought maybe like a trade combo was there, or at least a confirm was off of that. I don't know, but he paid for it dearly.
Absolutely. 4 Fears. See, the fireballs coming out every so often for Mago, so Nauman's going for these mediums and the 4 Fears to check him before they come through. If he gets that 4 Fears, that's across the corner carry. Ooh, with that medium, gonna get him that crouching medium kick from Mago.
Yeah, being just outside of that standing medium punch range, Mago has been pretty much hovering there for the entirety of that beginning round, and now Nauman, again, after that opening from the low forward, he gets the entire sequence from one corner to the other. Mago is trapped within medium kick range. He does get the activation, and Nauman finish it off. There should be enough in the tank, possibly, at least, to get a knockdown and a back row. It's the suppressor, and that's exactly what Mago had thought. There was an input from Mago. You saw the counter hit. Nauman taking full advantage of V-skill 2's pressure.
See, now you see Mago, I should say, looking to the skies, looking for some sort of help. He's like, dang, this suppressor is super suppressive, and we see that continuously. Now we see it in the neutral on the knockdown situations as a raw thing right there, suddenly working out against the buttons of loop. But in the corner, again, you have to put the thing, you have to guess even more so. Even though it's not that post-stun stun with a ton of damage after the stun, he's still able to dish out a ton of damage overall. And Nauman, on game point, along with Mago, starting off real strong right here, trying to walk in, gets challenged. That's going to be a punch. He uses the crouch fierce. I like that from Mago. Nauman puts him right back to the corner with the target combo and the throw.
Not even trying to go for the roundhouse. He just walks up and tries to get the throw. That's going to be setting up for suppressor later. He had already done the damage in the second game with suppressor, and now he's trying to layer it again. Mago was very reluctant on that tech. It's going to be another introduction of mediums. Mago was looking for a way to activate trigger off of medium. Nauman also doing the same. Low forward sandblaster, nothing to it. Mago still can't find the opening against Nauman. He's playing the life lead game very well. He's being very patient about this.
And Mago has to back up if he wants to get that fireball game going, because his mind is to get close enough. The dash in doesn't get the medium that he wanted right after. Nauman took the control in the space of this place. Nice whip punch against the medium kick. For a medium kick, gets a hit in the knockdown. Back to neutral.
Mago is not going to let go of that trigger unless it'll be off of a confirm. Okay, I lied. He let the shots ring out. He could afford it. Now he's got one more. Nauman's in deep trouble. We talked about that fire game being pretty annoying against somebody who either wants to be offensive or is trying to make a comeback happen. Mago putting the stop signs all over Nauman's pilgrimage to certain victory. But now, Mago getting the big opener off of low medium kick. There's a suppressor as a reversal from the side of Nauman.
Go back to neutral. Ooh, you whip and get hit. He tried to get that heavy kick activation. Mago's at the distance. Starts off the light kick. Puts him in the corner. Cross cut DP. Can't leave for free. Gets hit with the 12 of your life. But here's the medium kick. And Nauman going to push him into the corner. Let's see if that suppressor becomes another big deal. Great tech. Nauman letting the shots ring out. And the walk up throw again. The stun.
You should definitely do that here. Yep, had to spend that EX to ensure the damage is there, and it's Nauman tying it all up against Mago, but here we go, right? 2 bars on the side of Mago, just about shy of critical art. This is going to be huge. Nauman pretty aggressive. Started the off with a throw. Mago got a whiff punish, and another whiff punish against Nauman. Nearly 50%, plus frames everywhere. And the crouching light kick to ring out. Nauman is trying to get himself out of the corner. Mago, will he be the suppressor without the suppressor? A big mistake! Nauman's going to find himself a bust out.
Challenge on the dash with the light. Immediately puts him right back in the corner. Now I'm looking for the right time to activate. Right on hit situation. But that medium kick stopping him, the stop sign. The better buttons to Luke. Dashing in, getting hit with the shots. You have to be careful of that EX bar at the bottom. Mago has switched up the game plan and used that EX bar every so often to make those shots ambiguous in terms of the quickness. Crouching medium kick gets a hit. Ends it with the medium knuckle.
Oh no, you're in the corner now. This is Suppression City. Oh, the interruption there from Mago, and he's got it off the medium. More than enough damage incoming no matter what. Mago, the 2D god, gets the big interruption against Nauman. 2-1 in that final sequence. That could have gone either way in that match.
Absolutely, but just how Mago dealt with that B-Skill 2 that gave him so many problems, and how he switched up the bar usage too, utilizing the EX Fireball instead of just going for the super every so often, making it ambiguous of how he's going to switch up in terms of the zoning was super great play. And in that distance, to utilize the light, if the B-Skill 2 whiffs, he got the hit off the light punch, right in the target combo, in that right range. Perfect play. He was definitely looking out for that B-Skill 2. He had mentioned it, and we saw it dealt with in kind.
Yeah, you even saw it towards the end, right? He had such a tremendous life lead that he wasn't even going to be weary or reluctant to even challenge that V-Skill 2. He threw out such a fast normal. He threw out crouching jab, right? He was like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and just kind of interrupt this, get this this sequence going, and then even afterwards get like a medium kick if need be. So Mago, again, in just the position that he was in, it would not have allowed Nauman to even get that kind of frame trap with Suppressor. I think had he had gone with maybe a different kind of layer of offense, he might have found that success. But in regards to that final moment, Mago was already committed to pressing those buttons. And you saw it. He pressed it so quickly. Happened to catch that V-Skill too. Taking a look at one of the more common stories that we talk about between the Luke matchup is the strike throw game. Overall, you see it majority of the time, those kind of numbers being skewed towards the lower ends, pretty much lower percentages for a very good reason. You do not want to get countered by Luke, right? It leads to so much damage. But at the same time, eventually, like if you get caught with a throw, that stuff kind of adds up. A very grounded game between the two. I love the back and forth. It was a very exciting match. But we're moving on. It's going to be Inabashi with G. Who do you think is coming up next, Sinkola?
Man, Inabashi with G. So during the pre-show, I feel like Macho was listed as one of the ones to kind of fight G with that Nikali. Being able to utilize the V-Skill, I think, is a good option against G overall. You don't have the right range as G. You won't be able to fight the mid-range. But that V-Skill being so quick this season allows you to build up that V-bar with the quickness, but also knock down the character, disallowing the presidentiality. It looks like it is going to be Macho coming up. He also has a lot to say in terms of dive kick play, the jump fears, the jump medium kick, so the jump ins will be coming hot and heavy. And to be steady, you have to be predictive with it. Back fierce, crouch fierce, and the V-Skill, which has been slowed down season after season against G, makes it a little bit more difficult to deal with the aerial approach in the Kali.
This is going to be pretty interesting, right? In the previous run that they've had against each other, GyoGun had actually had Macho as the anchor fighting off against Nauman. But this is the first time we actually get to see Inabashi Zangief in this particular battle. And I'm kind of curious to see how this particular matchup is going to fare out, because I don't think we've been blessed enough to see this, right? This is indeed the run back, but I think there's a lot in regards to what Inabashi has to do on defense rather than the other way around. I think there's a lot of bust out opportunities that Nikali has in comparison to G, obviously. Right, we talked about 3-frame normals as well as even having an uppercut. G pretty much not able to have those kind of luxuries. But overall, I think this is going to be the matchup for Inabashi to prove himself and prove his worth really with G. And if it so happens, he could switch off, but I don't see that really happening. But going into the pre-game interview, so Inabashi had put a bounty on Macho, and he actually called him by his real name. He'd been looking for this, right? He's specifically looking for this matchup, right? But he also says he will do his best against him and will dedicate all of his attention to him. I'd imagine, right? But Macho responds with dedicate. Dedicate what exactly? He'll play his best as he usually does. One of the biggest things that sets Macho apart, I feel like, within the rest of the league, I think, is his adaptation skills and his reaction speed. I think he's one of the best reaction speeds in the league. And in the world. I think that he's done such a great job of making so many important split-second decisions in his competitive career. It's kind of wild. Then you have somebody like Inabashi. One of the things that stand out with him, other than his stats currently at 40%, he has one of the best reads in the business, right? He lives the grappler life. He is the player that grapplers look up to. And there's one thing that people just can't emulate, right? Having those kind of strategic reads that Inabashi has. So this is going to be very interesting to see. It's going to be reactions versus reads in this matchup.
Definitely want to see how, I mean, we've seen it with Inabashi, I should say. Those reads being put over to like the risk reward, put over to the I'm gonna do round start up or down or whatever, knowing that it's -4, knowing I can be punished, but I will do this because I believe, because I have the read, and it usually works out for the likes of Inabashi. You know, that helps him calculate where he's gonna be placing these buttons, these specials that were more riskier on the other side of other people, but he has the data to back it up. He's like, you know what, there's like a 75% chance that when I fight this person, this is going to work out, even though it is typically minus. And we've seen it work out for him in the league where he's able to do round starts, things like that, that would typically get punished, but he stays solid. I'm curious, though, how he's going to operate against a character, again, that has a lot of defensive decisions when they get put up in the corner. And the fact that you can utilize more of that V-bar for V-shift and V-break if need be, because you're doing so much of the V-bar with that V-skill 1 being so much quicker. How he's going to maneuver around that fireball, that ground pound temper tantrum that Necalli has, that is such a big part of the toolkit of that character's game plan. I think Necalli is the best they've ever been. We haven't really seen Necalli throughout the year, so it's hard to even gauge that. But looking at his toolkit, looking at how the meta has shifted, how V-shift and V-break are in the game, I feel like you add another layer of defense for that character, already having the 3-frame, already having HDP. Now you can V-shift a little bit quicker and still get into V-trigger, because I don't think there's ever a time where we haven't seen Necalli being able to activate unless he's doing like offensive V-reversal or something like that, right? Like being able to get into V-trigger is such an important thing for Necalli. He's able to do so more continuously and stay more stable up in this season. G's still good though. G, on the other hand, is still a fantastic character. You just have to get that presidentiality of level 3 to really put the damage on the deck with that character to get how he was before. And V-trigger is no more for that robbery. It's more for, I'm going to put you in the corner and then rob you there. I'm going to take you in the underpass and then rob you there. So G, still a strong character. Just the game plan changed up just a little bit.
Right, again, this is going to be a very big challenge for, I feel like, Inabashi, just only because Capcom Fighters Nations needs as many points as possible, right? I think for Macho and Team GyoGun, they're pretty much in the same boat, but not as dire as Capcom Fighters Nation. And we talked about it earlier. Capcom Fighters Nation pretty much also in the running still for those playoff points. They need to score as many as possible considering they're 160, but GyoGun, a little bit more leeway with 235. This is going to be a very big result for the players. Here we go. Game number 1. Oh, just shy for the swing under, or the smash under.
By that risk and reward right there. That knockdown, unfortunately. Macho with the bump for the crouch kick. This guy's guiding this man to the corner. Trying to find a jump in. Jump trapped up in the corner. Heavy kick with the crush. Get the GP enter. He's in the corner. Strike throw hot and heavy.
Huge corner to corner. There's the activation. Here we go. Back throw. And another one. Is going to do it again. No, the big interruption. Command grab now. Itazan could actually net the damage enough for the kill, potentially. There was scaling involved. Yeah, that's big scaling from the command grab. Ooh,
and that's a wake-up super.
He was chipped out either way. I think he was chipped out anyway.
You're absolutely right. The V-bar didn't come until he got the hit off the super. So would have died regardless. I like that wake-up option for Macho. No guessing. Just get the damage done. Expensive win, but in the end, real good for Macho to kill it right back. Fades away from the command grab play. Goes for the uppercut. That presidentiality all leveled up. He talked about the area post, the dive kick, challenging the crouch fierce from Itazan.
Trying to catch a couple of almost. Itazan not flinching, but there we go. Yeah, we saw something a little bit longer. That standing heavy punch. Macho has been so commanding with medium kicks, right? Just reaching in all the right ranges over and over again. And also slight stutter steps into standing medium kick have been such a big deterrent against Itazan. He has not found the right ranges to even try to throw buttons because Macho's been so ambiguous with his approach. And having that mix between playing point blank range and still within close range with either normal throw or command grab, right? It's so difficult to even balance all of those options to find a defensive maneuver for it. Again, Itazan is pretty much on the back foot right now going into it. He's trying to be the aggressive, and Macho's not even giving it to him.
Right. I love these heavy kicks coming through from Macho every so often. He's trying to get these crush counters against these light buffers, and he's been able to work his way in, which is also impressive to me from Macho, is he's walking into that mid-range gameplay. Hard to do so against the long limbs of G and those buffers that he has, but it's not happening. He's not getting the confirms. He does not push to the corner. What does he have on defense? That's starting to go for the anti-air. That was deep dish, but now finds the hit. Has the activation. 4 fears. Corner carry. Coast to coast to make him build the ghost. That's on the bust out.
Oh boy. Plus frames after that. Plus frames again. And the slight delay, the stutter step again. Macho. There's a lot of frustration setting from the side of Inaba. You can see it on the player cam too.
Don't want this character in. You don't want to let him get that impression. T-Rex Slims, when they get in, they can definitely do some work. Fierce. Try to get the dive kick again. Talked about the aerial approach. Itazan has not found an answer. And there may not be one. V-skill, DP, Ender. Stuns rising. Dying on some dirt with this throw. Instead of stepping those normals, not trying to get activated on. Into the flash and side of Itazan.
Oh boy. The command grab, yeah, Macho absolutely knew it, hence the backdash. There's gonna be a full conversion, and it's gonna be even full death. Yes, sir. Didn't even need the enhanced version. With a full critical art from Macho, and that's all she wrote. That's 2 games straight, 2 rounds straight, I think 4 rounds straight.
I think you're right. Macho taking it clean right there. Janitorial duty's done by him to get the win. We talked about how the aerial approach was so difficult to deal with, but also, again, I gotta go back to the fact that Macho putting out that heavy kick wasn't always punished, wasn't always challenged, and was getting so many crush counters, stuffing them light buttons, stuffing them medium buttons before they can even come through, and pushing Itazan to the brink into the corner. We did see the corner carry back at him with the V-trigger, but it wasn't enough to deter the likes of Macho. He moves in with a W.
Definitely not. Very significant one of that. We talked about how many points both of these teams need. Capcom Fighters Nation is letting that dream of playoffs slip little by little. That is 20 points away from their goal, right? Now it's going to be a lot harder. That gap between them reaching that border of I think I forgot what the minimum is actually, but yeah, they're pretty much giving it to GyoGun at this point, right? With 20 points. GyoGun now at 255. They pretty much tie with V6 Plus FAV Gaming. It's really up to Capcom Fighters Nation now to score this final 20 and possibly go into a tiebreaker scenario where they can possibly clinch that 5th place spot. As it is right now, we're taking a look at the stats. This is pretty important. You had mentioned the anti-air game. So difficult, so much more difficult for G just because of his stature in comparison to someone like Nikali who could change his trajectory in various ways, right? With the jump in normal that could be hit up earlier, he could dive kick as well, and even hit some of these really funky angles, which we didn't really encounter as much, right? But again, very, very important to note that 25% there from Inabashi.
He did a really good job of the bust outs too as well. Like we talked about the reads from the side of Itazan, but Macho though, being able to bust out twice and be nice with it and still be solid, not getting weighted and baited, things like that, just shows me that he was in the driver's seat the entire time. Macho was seeing a big win, and now we're at the end. Now we're at the anchor position. Now we're at the finale, and GyoGun trying to once again get as many points as possible, surpass V6 Plus FAV Gaming, and put them out of the running, put them out of the qualification zone. John T sitting in the wings of Team Detonation. Who do you send up against John T?
Well, before I even answer that, let's take a look at what Hamiko had chosen for his pick, right? For John Takeuchi, he had initially thought Macho, but since the order has been kind of switched up, it might just be Mizuha in the mirror match. We'll see. I personally like that idea. I don't know if Moke is going to step up to the plate. I would love to see Mizuha kind of step up to the challenge and go Cody versus Cody.
that's actually what's about to happen. It's kind of strange because I feel like Falk does really well against Cody in some of these aspects in the long-range gameplay. However, the mirror match is a different sort of thing that you have to be prepared for, and we'll have to see if they're as prepared. Mizuha, you know, getting newer and newer to the Cody gameplay at the beginning of the year, really trying to figure out what character he wanted to play, and I feel like he's really stuck to just Cody. Especially out in the league, he has just been primarily a Cody player. I haven't really seen the loop come through from him. But overall, you know, the mirror match, something it's definitely different, and maybe Moke's Falk isn't up to stuff. They don't feel like his Falk is up to stuff to fight the likes of John T, because John T is one of the best Codys in the business. We've seen him already win a CPT. We've seen what he can do out in the league. So maybe they feel more comfortable doing the mirror match.
Possibly, right? We'll see how this plays out. I think overall, the way that John Takeuchi plays is vastly different in comparison to Mizuha. I think Mizuha is not afraid to let the big aggressive plays rip a little bit early. I think Mizuha is definitely keen on utilizing the Zonk Knuckle in earlier instances instead of reacting to what's been given after data after data, or at least round after round. But talking about the pre-game interviews, we had John Takeuchi kind of speak up first. He was actually coming out swinging verbally, right? He talked about the Cody mirror. He says, I will beat GyoGun and I will make them sad. Very aggressive from John Takeuchi, all the while smiling at the same time.
My man said, I'll make them sad. We'll have to see. Mizuha right now looking for, he's got 3 wins to his 10 games that he has played. John Takeuchi looking a little bit more on the sad side. He's only got 2 wins to his 10 games right here. Definitely like to see it for his team and get some points up on the board. And again, I like the fact that you point out that Mizuha is willing to take more of those risks early up in the game, because we see the likes of John T. He loves that medium kick button, loves to poke with that medium kick, and then put you in the corner eventually when it gets the V trigger, and then really harass you there. So we'll see who has the better Cody. I'm really curious to see if it's going to be knife on knife or pipe on pipe. I feel like because we've seen this so often, it's usually been knife on knife, the footsie gameplay, back and forth, and the pipe hasn't seen a lot of success in Street Fighter League. So probably knife on knife. What do you think?
I think the pipe's going to be just fine. I think the pipe is going to be more of a threat in this matchup than the knife, possibly. Right? Just a little tidbit. You might have seen a little bit funky stuff happening on the screen earlier. Moke being very, very dramatic at Mizuha's approach to the matchup. Right? His pregame interview was, it was Moke-san's birthday. I will gift him 20 points. And Moke obviously very elated about that. But looking at Mizuha's stats overall, he's still looking to find a couple of W's as well. He's the anchor for a reason. We'll see if he has what it takes, right? But John Takeuchi, right, he's been a little bit lackluster in the department of points. He hasn't been able to score the points that we expected him to with his newfound Cody. He's been only 2 of 10 thus far in his matches, only scoring 30 points. But Mizuha, only with 40 on his side, so not too big of a difference. Only winning 3 of his 10 matches. It's going to be the Cody fight. We're going to see what the V-set is between the 2 mayors.
Let's see who's got the better Cody today. Anchor match. Who's going to take it? V-skill 2, V-trigger 1 on both sides of things. He's feeling more comfortable with it. And already started off with a medium kick. John Takeuchi's trademark move. Trademark button coming into play.
Flank delay as well. Catching Mizuha on a big, big throw bait. Throw do it. That's so difficult to contest afterwards, but still finds a way out. Big jumping combo off of the crush counter from Mizuha. Look at how much carry you get. And the throw on top of it. Now you're definitely in the corner. Does counter the V-shift. John Takeuchi thought he had a little bit more space to get out of dodge, but no, sir.
Don't forget, we have to hold this throw, bro. Save the EX for that express purpose of the strike throw, and there you go. John Takeuchi with the first one, but I like that route back. Lisa showed how optimal he can be, and with that corner carry, that jumping combo after the crush, perfect.
That could have been another layer of guess, right? He could have done the final fight combo, cancel into V-trigger. He could have done strike throw again. But either way, John Takeuchi making off like a bandit with the amount of damage he got from that EX Zonk Knuckle. Mizuha actually finding an EX Zonk of his own, but that's not all the story right now. John Takeuchi finding big counter hits, especially after the 4 roundhouse and now a 4 throw. Jump out from Mizuha, just backing away from John Takeuchi. V reversals the EX Zonk. Very clever, but speaking of clever, the V-skill 2 usage, and now the V-trigger 1 from Mizuha. What's John's defense going to be like? It's V-shift and the break.
Loving to see it right here from John Takuchi. Switch up what he does on defense. Gets a side switch. That's a hit, and that's it. Had the super to seal it just in case. More enough damage to take it. John Takuchi utilizing that V-bar to go far. I love seeing V-reversal, V-shift, and things like that from a character like Cody, because you're going to be doing a lot of V-bar with sway and crush either way, and he had it at the end either way, so good stuff from John Takuchi to take it. Mizuha looking a little bit lost on how to deal with the buttons that are presented from the likes of John Takuchi.
It looked as if Mizuha had the upper hand towards that second round. John Takuchi, the Wonder Boy, again, he's finding all the right ways to counterplay Mizuha thus far. Can he keep it up into game two? The big crush counter now coming in from Mizuha. Let's get the final fight extension into the corner. Now just within range, just in case John Takuchi wants to be a little bit eager and take to the skies. And also still within medium range to get possibly another counter poke. There we go.
Kick coming through. That's the final answer. Buffer off the medium punch. Gets Ruffian, V-skill sway, gets the knockdown, and the throw too as well. Corner push, keeping it medium with that medium kick. Crouching addition for the plus frames, has the activation on the deck too as well. In that right range to V-skill to sway, if need be against the fireballs. And what a challenge in that range to delete that Zonk off the table. And again, caught him coming in.
That's gonna be fine for John. Oh boy, or so I thought. The EX Zonk still coming in. The expressway right into downtown. He's doing a lot right now to apply pressure, but it's going to be throw first, and now just within range, the extended normals, low, short, that's all she wrote. John Takuchi, more than enough damage, can throw the knife if need be, but it's still the extension so important on the low, short.
Gotta watch your toes. That activation is a typical route for a lot of Cody players. So much range right after because of the knife. Nice three-piece combo right there. Able to find an answer, but no problem. Never mind, you're not fine. EX Zonk, heavy addition. Double Ruffian for the rough stuff. Off in the corner. Strike throw. Stun is rising once again. Fierce caught him. Almost gets a stun. And will get it done off the back throw. All that bar at the bottom. John Takuchi looking way too dominant, saying, bro, you might be coming to this party without a gift. I'm telling you right now.
Cody. Yeah, this is what happens when you don't invite John Takuchi to the party. I feel like John Takuchi would have been the one to deliver the points for it. But that's not how it works. They are on opposite teams. Mizuha, he needs to find a counter, and he needs to find it quick because he's already down 2 games. But this is pretty typical, I feel like. I think there's a lot of moments where Mizuha pretty much digests the information at a slower pace than most. You know who else kind of plays that way? Kawano. Kawano definitely has that kind of prowess, that kind of potential to download after 2 games and make these vast comebacks. But it's really up to John Takuchi to kind of keep this momentum going on his side. Mizuha taking a little bit of a breather to kind of confer with his teammates and figure out what the strategy is, what needs to be done to stop the babyface trickster, because he's been quite the trickster, really. I think there's been a lot of his approach that's so difficult to contest against. I think his counter poke decision making has been very, very much so on point. His timing overall has been catching Mizuha more often than not in neutral with plenty of counter hits. I mean, we could talk about EX Zonk all day. Those could be outliers as well, or like, sorry, main factors of the strategy. But I think the big outlier here is John Takuchi's positioning overall with his normals and his timing against Mizuha thus far in these last 2 games.
Right. He's right so that this is for the Zonk. He's looking for that option from Mizuha, almost goading him and saying, I wish you would, because he hits the jab, interruption immediately. As soon as he sees the yellow flash on the screen, mashes that jab, gets a counter hit, gets a corner carry. And speaking of bar usage, I feel like John Takuchi's bar usage has been better. How he's been able to V-reversal, how he's been able to V-shift and V-break and things like that, get the gray life stacked up and be out of these bad positions. And it feels like he always has an EX bar at the bottom for extensions or for the threat of EX Zonk on his side of things too as well. That's how he closed out one of those rounds where it was looking real dire as he put up in the corner, but then Mizuha had to hold that strike throw right after because he wasn't able to get that kill. Let's see who will get that kill, because John Takuchi is on game point.
A very important match for both of these teams, right? If GyoGun manages to take the big sweep and come back from this deficit, they could be at a 40-point ball game. If John Takuchi makes it happen 3-0, well, they get to go to a sudden death and get as many points as possible, possibly getting 25, right? So it's very, very, very important for both teams. Ooh. A slight mishap. I don't know what that was from John. I think it was like a jump medium, but still.
Very strange. Don't typically see that button unless you go into the air right there with the target combo, but it wasn't there right now. Who's there that confirms? Gets a heavy thought follow-up. Holds the throw. Mizuha off to a way better start for the reversal jab in the final fight. Puts him right in the corner. John Takuchi looking for the right way to activate. Maybe a heavy kick. Or we'll just interrupt with a medium kick.
That was kind of sick. Oh, full critical art on deck. He's gonna do another throw. Another throw's incoming, right? No, wrong. John Takuchi is stabbing away. Plus frames. I love the view reversal there from Mizuha. But he doesn't have trigger to back himself up now. Well, he didn't have it in the first place, so that's gonna be throw either way. John Takuchi looking at battle point. Sorry, match point, excuse me. Battle's not over yet.
I mean, it's looking like it might be these little tricks that he's got. You see him unsheath the knife to get the EX fireball and sheath the knife once again, keep the pressure going and flowing. And this is a flow to the corner, bro. V-skill knockdown, low ruffian for the Oki. Pester with those medium punches. Heavy kick. But this is so good for Mizuha. Back in the neutral. Hold this Oki.
Frames after that, checking afterward. Plenty of stuff afterwards to kind of follow through. From both ends, really. Crouching medium kick, such a great button. Standing medium kick, even better. The fact that it's +3 on block, it's kind of nasty.
Best V triggers in the business. The kick gets the opening. Like that. The target combo knocked down to the ground. In this round, Mizuha does have the V bar at the bottom for that V trigger. It won't even matter. John Takuchi going to make a big comeback. He's got the bar at the bottom. Anti right there with the fears.
You see Mizuha slowly biding his time. He does have the life lead. Yep, that's one down. There's 2 more EX Zonk Knuckles to worry about. I think one of those could actually lead to a very dire situation. Standing medium kick, Mizuha's alive. This is very important now. With the amount of meter that John Takuchi has, he could let the EX Zonk rip early and take that aggression, or sorry, pretty much the momentum away from Mizuha with an offensive play. There it is. Here we go.
Even on block.
Off, plus frames all over the place.
Even on block, I feel like it's so good to hit that EX Zonk, put him to the corner, and expeditiously it's getting Grizzly. He's mauling him in the corner. The area right there we wanted to see before. Like that jab right there, testing the water to see if he's going to V-ship or backdash. V-reversal.
He actually caught it.
He still caught in the corner.
John Takuchi actually got very lucky. He got a backdash going in, and Mizuha actually called it correctly to delay the jab a little bit, but fortunately enough, it just whipped. Yep. That's a big crush counter, too. Back throw down. John Takuchi taking a lot more risks on wake up. It should be a big signal for Mizuha if he manages to get close again to John Takuchi, but he has to tread softly. He is at the deficit. If John gets a single confirm in EX Zonk, it's over.
With that heavy addition. He's got it charged up. He reversed with a great life. Oh, it's almost over. V-skill gets the knockdown. Right, that right range. Well, that's a fat fireball. That could have hit too.
Oh my God!
Down the shimmy.
John Takuchi not flinching to the tech throw. Or sorry, to the throw bait. Forward throw. It's about 15. The interruption's there. John Takuchi. He didn't charge it, but he still got the counter hit. The battle is indeed not over. I repeat, the battle is not over. John Takuchi sends it off into overtime with a sudden death battle coming our way.
Oh my God. Yo, John Takuchi again, the trickster, ever the trickster, coming through with that Cody play today. We saw how he utilized this character in such a different manner. It's a lot of tech, and it's helping him stay solid. We saw the switch out from EX Fireball back into whipping out the knife and utilizing that medium kick to get as much bar as possible and just stopping every approach from Mizuha. Those EX Zonks not coming through, no cheapness coming through in that right range to jab or even just land a heavy kick crush. So John Takuchi, the better Cody today. But we'll have to see who's going to come through this extra game. I honestly just want to see the run back. I want to see the run back. But Uriel does hit the wings, though.
I honestly think just keep John Takuchi in there. I think, like, even if it was just a mirror match ordeal, I think he's playing pretty hot right now. One person to kind of deter that fire, or sorry, be that fire deterrent is maybe Macho. I think in terms of who was playing the best on GyoGun's team, Macho had a pretty clean performance, but we can't really base it off of their win record, right? I think it had a lot to do with the matchups in general. John Takeuchi, however, happened to lose to Mago the last time they met. So taking a look at that information, I don't know if Mago wants to step up to the plate again and potentially put his team at risk in a 1-1 scenario.
Yeah, that's difficult. I personally would like to see either the likes of, Macho maybe coming up because he is playing the hottest right now. But matchup-wise, I don't know. I feel like Mago is either going to be really, really good for Mago or really, really bad. And that's weird to say in the 1-1 situation. There's only one game to play. However, if Mago's on point, we see how he is putting pressure in 1-1s, how we dealt with Bonchan, and he was able to smoke Bonchan. But that was predicated on the fact that previously he beat Bonchan in that 1-3. So is Mago on point enough? We already see John Takeuchi coming back up on the wings once again, as you pointed out, already hot with it, already doing fantastic, already on fire. I personally would send up either Macho or Mago.
Ooh, they're sending Mizuha again. Word.
Really?
Oh, they're giving him the vengeance match. You said it earlier. You owe Moke a birthday present. If it's not 20 points, you got to give him the consolation prize of 5.
Man's gonna stop by the bodega, pick up just a few points. Maybe not the freshest in the business, but enough to seal the deal and get the win for the team. There were some moments from Mizuha that he was starting to fight back a little bit, getting a lot more aggressive with the round starts and doing a little bit better on defense, but then started to break down at the very end. Some bad weight decisions. Maybe he's found something. Maybe he's found a button to deal with medium kick. We saw that the likes of Momochi, when he fights John Takeuchi, is able to use like medium punch last time that they have fought. So maybe that'll be the button to play today from the side of Mizuha. Let's see if he has an answer. I love seeing me some runbacks. John Takeuchi says content, he's content. Overall, I think he's it as well, but Mizuha is a good player. However, let's see if he's saying the same thing if Mizuha gets that W. He's got even more praise for him if Mizuha is able to get that W.
Moke is like zoomed all the way to the max up to his camera, looking right into the soul of Mizuha, to the neighbor next door, bro. He is upsetty spaghetti. The man's got to be feeling some type of way against Mizuha. He still gives him the good luck, though. There it is, yeah. I like that. He still says ganbatte. He wants to make sure that he does his best. And Mizuha, again, in a very peculiar position for his team, right? We had the lost opportunity of getting 40. The most you could salvage now is 25, potentially, which is going to be just fine, I think. That would put them at least at... it would put them at 260. So that would be tied for pretty much third with Nagoya Ojo Body Star, Saishun Console, Kumamoto. So I think they're going to be in a pretty decent position so long as they're a little bit higher up in the ranking. Mizuha, we got his interpretation in. When he's talking about the game itself, he doesn't think it was a bad match at all. Playing 4 times, he thinks he can win 1, right? He's playing the law of numbers. I will gift Moke-san 5 points. I knew it. I knew he was going to say that.
He said, I'm going to give you something. I'm going to give you something. Maybe not the gift that you wanted. Maybe, the thing that you wanted that's at home, the version at home. We got this at home, but let's see. We at least give something. John Takeuchi's going to try to play spoiler. And as we pointed out, Compliment Detonation needs to play as perfect as possible. They're further and further outside the qualification zone. But even more so, you want to deny those points as possible, as many points as possible, from the side of the other team. So this is even beyond just like getting the victory and getting as many points as possible for yourself, but just denying points for these other teams as we get closer and closer to the playoffs. And it's getting real tight for the likes of GyoGun. They want to get as many as they go in. Even that 5 points, even though 5 points matter, even though 5 points definitely matter, and they all add up in the very end. So we'll see who's going to get that victory. That 1-1 last match between GyoGun and Compliment Detonation. Let's get it.
This is it right here. We got ourselves the sudden death match. We haven't seen these, I feel like, in a while. Yeah, even the week 11, we haven't seen it. Not even a week 10. It's been a while. I do like it when pretty much the chips are on the table. I love seeing these kind of matches. We'll see who becomes the victor overall. Pretty aggressive, both of them. John Takeuchi is getting the better half of this slaughter. this engagement has been all John Taguchi thus far.
Anti-air locking down the corner. I love this corner pressure, backing up for that anti-air in the right space, but not giving up too much room. Exemplifying that medium kick every so often with it. Again, Mizuha has to find an answer for that button, but gets crushed for his troubles. Back in the corner you go.
A bit of a problem. Mizuha again. Now risk a single hit. John Takeuchi totally fine with this. So much damage, man. Cody is so explosive.
Plus frames too as well. He puts it continuously. And speaking of plus frames, can't press. As John Takeuchi presses Mizuha down and gives himself a round, he is on set point for this first attack.
Rough. Takeuchi, does get exposed from Mizuha, the red bar. Gains it pretty much right back. The economy's been so powerful right now for Mizuha. Being able to spend another EX song off the wall. He charged it for a long time. Stun is here, and he does get the bad spray. John Takeuchi took a gamble. Trying to reach with the pocket sand. No, sir, not today. All tied up. The last round between these two in the battle. But look down below, John Takeuchi. The explosive one he's got. Critical art on deck.
All that bar utilized for EX off to the corner push once again on block. Still a good way to make his drop. Put him up in the corner. Reenact that great corner pressure that Cody still has. And eventually we'll get that B-bar 4P trigger. Not able to be reversal. No bar at the bottom for John Takeuchi. Has to hold it. And I like that from Mizuha. Pushing him outside that corner. Pushing him back to mid-screen. That medium kick. Real dangerous with it. Oh, you have to confirm that's a big punish right here. John Takeuchi puts him in the corner. Face kill. Puts up some B-bar. Gets the counter hit. It's almost it. Almost done. One more hit. We'll get it done. Takeuchi locking him down. He's got to get more EX bar. The threat with the EX on.
How many plus frames that have been presented? It felt like an infinite. I feel like there was just nothing but perplexities, man. I think there was so many plus frames on there. John Takeuchi was not going to let Mizuha go without a fight, man. That was actually extremely devastating to even try to defend against. Like, what are you supposed to do against Cody, who just applies so much mathematical problems to him? He has to do all the math in his head. It's like +2, +2, EX zonk. What happens after that? It's like, I would have flunked his class. That guy was teaching.
But right now, John Takeuchi taking points for his team, taking the W, taking the win for Team Comprised Detonation. Previously, it was, it was GyoGun that got the 40 bomb when they first met up. But look at the reverse. Look at what's happened now. You give them a chance to get that run back like that. They switch up their strategies, their teams, and they figure out more of the meta and how they want to play their characters. John Takeuchi looking real powerful with that character, real powerful with this Cody, and proving that he is the better one to get it done. Unfortunately, Mizuha going to the party empty-handed. They might be sending him home.
Without a present to the party, yeah, you're definitely getting kicked out of the house for sure. You're not allowed to go in. You're not allowed or invited back to Moke's birthday party. John Takeuchi, he's definitely gonna be the guest of honor at that party. That is, unless Capcom Detonation throws a party for himself or themselves, right? But 25 points, pretty significant. That puts them up at 185, if I'm not mistaken. They need as many points as possible. We've talked about that since the pretty much second half of the season. But we are going to get the post-game interview, taking a look at the way Nauman and Inabashi had performed. Nauman was relatively close to taking a W against Mago. Inabashi, however, complete opposite in regards to how the previous match had gone. I think there was just a full-on sweep from Macho, 2 rounds straight. I think 2 games straight with 4 rounds straight.
Getting the post-game interview right here. Nauman says, the full match I lost. I was able to showcase what I had practiced. It was good to see that V-Skill 2 being utilized, but it's just a reversal situation that came from Mago was really what sealed the deal. Be outside that space, wasn't really able to exemplify the ending part of that V-Skill 2 to really seal the deal against Alexa Mago. So now, even though he lost, seeing his team being able to take it was still a good victory in and of itself. And again, denying the points, as many points as possible, GyoGun only walking away with 20 points. That's a lot, but it's not as many as you want as GyoGun, because we talked about it, as many points as possible. You have only so many weeks, and we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. 3 weeks remain, if that.
And so it's really something to really behold. I think there's a lot of pressure that goes on to the final weeks of Street Fighter League, right? Being able to be a part of Street Fighter League US, I understand because I get to talk to some of these players as well in person in the studio, and it's just like, what is actually like racing through your mind outside of the matchups? Like, you have to really consider like how many points away. Well, we kind of do the math for them, right? Tasty Steve and I actually sit some of the teams down and be like, hey, by the way, just let you guys know, you have this many points potentially to make it into the playoffs. Right, I think it's something to consider, or at least, you know, what it could mean for the other teams if they're already in the playoffs. Like, all right, well, if you completely dominate this team, that could open up a better matchup for you in the long run for the way the seeds are made, or the way the seeds are done for the playoffs. So a ton to really consider, right? But to kind of keep it as basic as possible right now, GyoGun, they really needed those points to get favorable seeding.
Yeah, they definitely would have loved to have that 40 bomb, but weren't even able to get the W, and that seeding would have been better for them if they were able to get that win, but not going to happen right now. Inaba saying that he was behind Macho, called him by his government, it looks like, and maybe a bad matchup with him. John did an outstanding job winning 4 straight. He's happy here doing this winning team interview. Oriel sitting on the stand says John Kuhn did so well. He is so happy. And I think if you're a Cody player, you're looking at that match and just taking a lot of tips and tricks away from the trickster himself. So I'm sure Cody players at home were definitely happy to see that too as well. Comprised Detonation proving that they still have that fire and that flame and that heat with them. That fight is still in. Even though they might be out, they're still working as if they're not.
Yeah, again, taking a look at how things have gone for John Takeuchi, pretty much deserves to be ecstatic, right? He was coming into it with a pretty low record with the way he's been performing. It's kind of weird to see that because John Takeuchi has been so dominant with Cody outside of the league, and it's been kind of wild, like watching him and his replays, watching his CFN, and then just watching his overall performance over at the World Warrior events. It's just such a wonder, like how intense some of these matches are, whether you're on the home side or on the away side, right? Just his record overall has been what, 3-11. But looking at his stats right now, he fully is aware of what happens when you take a big risk against a throw, right? I think there's a lot to be said in regards to John Takeuchi's decision making on defense. You see 0 and 3 down below on the right, where he did not even try to budge and try to tech some of these throws because Cody is such a monster. You deal so much damage off of a single counter hit. It's actually kind of ridiculous. So big ups to John Takeuchi. There was a big 0 in the tech side, but for a very good reason. His decision making pretty much on point. 4 games straight.
I saw a lot of anti-airs right there with the stand fierce, keeping the likes of Mizuha caught up in the corner as much as possible. He backed up for the express purpose to make sure the anti-air fierce was going to hit. We've even seen some air-to-airs right there every so often from him. So again, understand to keep them locked down on the ground. And we're going to go back to these replays real quick here in a second to see what had happened and occurred between these two teams. Mago versus Nauman, the Luke mirror match, the battle of the V-skills, V-skill 1 versus V-skill 2. We saw a lot of V-skill 2 usage from Nauman, which actually helped him on a lot of knockdown situations, I should say. Even mid-screen, he was able to get a few confirms here or there. However, as things went on, Mago was finding answers against that V-skill 2, and his defense was really great too as well. Not going for bust outs, just saying I'm going to wait and hold this pressure or go for a V-reversal, and he got better and better about dealing with this counter pressure. One of the things about V-skill 2 is you're not dumping out damage like you would. I mean, you do have damage if you have EX bar, but the V-skill 1 is really what dumps out damage for Luke. That really gets those extensions that you typically see off the charge knuckle combos and things like that. So when it came down to that Sun and Done, it was all Mago, and he utilized that EX bar so well, hiding his intentions with the normal fireballs, and it's sending out the EX fireballs every so often, catching Nauman unawares. Nauman was still able to double damage when he had bar at the bottom, but look at that reversal jab and that medium kick counter hit. That was enough to do it, taking it over Nauman.
Now, there's a lot to be said in regards to this matchup as well. Itazan, again, it was the battle of the command grabs. I think there was a lot to be said with the way that Macho had controlled a lot of the pace against someone like Itazan, and also having the right reads against the grappler. Like Macho, he may not be of the grappler archetype, but the fact that he has one, he knows how to utilize it very, very well, aggressively. Itazan not able to throw out some of the normals he had planned to. That's one of the things about G, is that he's got some pretty slow normals, and Macho is definitely one to react, or at least have the right intuition to throw out some of these buttons for these counter hits, right? And if not, he'll drag you to the corner with plus frames on plus frames, right? He utilizes his meter very, very well and applies pressure over and over again until you find yourself with nowhere to run. But Itazan tried to do the same thing. There was just one very small detail. The fact that Macho understands when the command grab is coming. He had it, right? We talked about great reads from Itazan. Macho pretty much exemplifying the same thing.
Now we see John Takuchi playing the trickster, continuously showing what Cody can do, managing his bar just a lot better, managing his EX bar way better, and then look at the call out on the V shift right there. That was really great from the side of Mizuha, but wasn't able to really deter a lot from John Takuchi. The matchup just looked so dominant on the side of the trickster. We saw a lot of the EX bar utilized in terms of like the EX off for the corner push, for the heavy off condition too as well, stay as optimal as possible. But the fact that he also was looking at the bar at the bottom on Mizuha's side, stay outside the distance for the Zong, got the light punch punish right there in that distance. Mizuha literally throwing that out, and it wasn't really working out. We saw the V reversal too as well for some defense, get some corner push. He saved that V bar for the express purpose of staying solid and not getting hit. But once again, strike throw too hot and heavy on the side of John Takuchi with that V bar at the bottom. Really good on offense and really good at blowing up the defensive tactics on the side of Mizuha. We saw a lot of wake up decisions, bad sand probably, or wake up mash, and they were countered continuously from the side of John Takuchi. And all of that, too, I got to say that heavy kick play that was coming through from John Takuchi and the medium kick was fantastic. But then we had the first one, right, Vicious?
We absolutely did. John Takuchi came out swinging. We didn't really get to see that in the replay, but it led to this very moment, right? John Takuchi having just a little bit more life, significantly more life, I should say, against Mizuha, allowing him to pretty much run away with it afterwards. But Mizuha completely undeterred. He ended up using his meter with an aggressive start. It looked like it was going to be Mizuha, but I feel like the one with more resources was going to be the victor eventually, because we talk about how often EX Zonk gets to bully the opposition, and John Takuchi, again, going into that final round with more bar than Mizuha, you already knew it was going to be weighted towards the side of John Takuchi's favor. So that's pretty much the end of the match. I think overall, John Takuchi played it phenomenally. He had so much control against Mizuha. He had all the right decisions to call out some of the things that Mizuha wanted to do on offense. It was very, very impressive to see 4 games straight as Cody defying the law of numbers.
Staying solid right here. I don't know how if I can stay solid looking at this beautiful food on the screen. We just had Thanksgiving recently, yesterday. I know, a lot of the Americans are packed, their bellies are packed right now. I'm already thinking about my leftovers. Look at the food up on the screen. This looks super delicious. Hopefully everyone had, if you celebrated a Thanksgiving or just a good, just a good day yesterday. I know I had a good one hanging out with my dog and things like that, cooking a fantastic feast. And again, y'all putting up food up on the screen. That's all I'm thinking about right now is what I'm going to make after this. Let's see if I think the commentators might be sampling this, possibly. I think production had said that they're sampling this.
And Hamiko will be chowing down on some noodles. That is for sure. There's going to be fried noodles, Japanese style. What I want to know is, this is going to be free talk time, right? We're going to talk about our meals as well. Yo, I kind of want to know, what did you feed Odin for Thanksgiving?
So I'm a bombastic, people. He's a big boy. I definitely fed him a lot more than that. I'll tell you what. I gave him some turkey, a little bit of ham. He had some greens and a few other things too as well mixed with his food. So he definitely had a fantastic feast. But look at this feast right there. If I could try a little bit of this, you know what? What am I saying? I will try this when I go to Evo Japan, bro. Let me find out. We can get one of these packed up, sent to us when we hit up in Evo Japan in a couple of months. Look at that. Nah, y'all got to slide one through to us.
I'm pretty sure.
What about you? What did you
have
eat, by the way?
Any sort of like yakisoba available. I think you'll very much so find an abundance of yakisoba. But what I had pretty much the same kind of thing, but instead of going for turkey, went for chicken. My brother and I had spent the entire day cooking. I think I had gotten up around like 8 a.m. Had gotten everything ready. We had the traditional kind of stuff. Honey baked ham. We had ourselves a nice melody of greens. We had 2 roasted chicken. We kind of switched it up instead of turkey. You know what I mean? We also had a very, very delicious pecan pie. That's a nice little roundup to all the fattiness that we had. We had like some nice baked potatoes with melted cheese on it. Man, it was fire, dude. Everything that we have on Thanksgiving, it makes me feel like I need to go to the gym immediately after Street Fighter League. But taking a look at what Hamiko is going down on, I think they've talked about the side dishes. They talked about the yakisoba as well. That I think I might go for that for dinner today. What about you, Sinkola? I feel like we should probably do the same thing, right? We got to go for Japanese today.
I gotta find some. I have to order some. A little bit of a distance, but I'll have to post some when I get some tonight. Because you know how you see something like I gotta have that craving. I know I have food up in my freezer right now with the leftovers, but it can wait. Because you know when it comes to Turkey Day leftovers, those are damn near eternal. They're eternal.
That's lunch, man. Okay, so here's how you compartmentalize it, right? You have it for lunch. You do it little by little, so you don't get tired of it, right? You have it for lunch, and then you go for Japanese dinner, right? Or vice versa. Have Japanese lunch, and then have the leftover for dinner. You know what I mean? You got to make sure you got to get the appetite going. That's the tech, right? You can't go all in on one meal. You got to spread it out. You got to spread the love. Make sure to get yourself nice and full, really.
Yo, I'm running that tech today. We're gonna do a little bit of that Thanksgiving, but tonight yakisoba. I'm gonna treat myself to that, and maybe Odin too as well if it's good for him. But you know, once again,
but let's Google that first.
Sponsors that are coming out.
Google that first.
I'm Googling everything, bro. I have to do that every single time.
The dog can eat it. Let's make sure the dog can eat it first.
I mean, yeah, he definitely, if he is able to eat something, he gets some portions. But, you know, it's cool to see that they are able to, you know, showcase some of this food up on the stream like this and get us hungry. And it's cool to see there's a lot of sponsors coming through supporting Street Fighter League. A lot of support just in general for Street Fighter League people. Once again, hey, if you want to let us know what you have for Turkey Day or what you're eating today, let us know. Heck, let Capcom know what's going on too as well. If you plan to go to Evo Japan, go ahead and hit them up and say, hey, I plan to go here or here or here, or hey, what's a good place to eat? I don't know, but I think Vicious might know. You've been to Japan a couple times, right?
One of my favorite spots, obviously, is pretty much everywhere along the J line, right? We talked about Tokyo being pretty much where Evo Japan's going to be at. I like Shinjuku a lot, Shibuya as well. The infamous Shibuya Crossing is the tourist destination if you're trying to take amazing photos and also surrounded by so many great places to eat. Ikebukuro to hit up Momochi's place, Sky Sports Lounge. I don't know if it's still open, but I also want to hit up the Red Bull Gaming Sphere area.
Yes.
If not, then I would love to figure out maybe a way to go to Osaka, take a train over there and visit Capcom HQ if possible. But there's so many different places you can go to in Japan. It's wild. It's absolutely wild.
I'm gonna have to take an extra week for that one. I definitely don't want to just hit up through the weekend or whatever. And if y'all plan to go out there, let us know too as well. I can't wait to see who's going out to Evo Japan. So all the people sign up for that when the signups had happened. So like I'm happy to see a lot of the foreign players coming out. I've seen a lot of people come out to Evo for our Evo up in the US. It's good to see people reciprocate and go out to Evo Japan in kind to get possibly the last Evo Japan of Street Fighter V. Probably consider Street Fighter 6 is around. We're seeing in the sunset soon, or we're sunsetting, I should say, Street Fighter 5. And we're seeing the sunrise of Street Fighter 6 at some point next year. So that may be the last time we get to see Street Fighter 5. We might be able to get to see also the Capcom Cup. This might be the last time we get to see Street Fighter 5 at a Capcom Cup, and I do mean a actual Capcom Cup. The season finals have been great, but this we get to see the combination of all these regionals getting to fight each other. 40+ players coming together for a whole week of action, plus Street Fighter League World Championships coming on too as well.
Full days of competition. There's also going to be a last chance qualifier. It's going to be streamed. We have a whole separate day for it. We have so many different events and so many different pro players from around the world that are going to be attending. You guys want to make sure to grab your ticket now. Schedule your travel arrangements as soon as possible because it's going to get only harder if you procrastinate. And I'll tell you what right now, you do not want to miss this return of Capcom Cup. This is going to be a very big farewell to the game of Street Fighter V, but I can guarantee you it's going to be some of the best Street Fighter you'll ever experience, especially in person. So we'd love to see you guys as well. Seikola and I will definitely be there. We would love to say hi to each and every one of you if you happen to be there in the chat and over there at Capcom Cup, wherever it may be. Again, we've announced the dates. We've announced everything thus far, but we haven't announced just yet what's coming up for our next match. Shinobiism Gaming going up against Hiroshima Team Ikuza. That's going to be happening after this break. Oh, it's going to be in Hollywood. They did announce it. All right, cool. It is official. It's going to be in Los Angeles, ladies and gentlemen. Be sure to book your travel accordingly.
Yeah, make sure y'all come through and come through correctly. We also have our own playoffs happening for Street Fighter League Japan. Remember that is happening if you schedule your tickets. 12, 29, that means next month on the 29th. And then for those who are not buying the tickets, you'll get the free stream a little bit later on, with the English free stream of us two as well, a few weeks later. Look at that, right up on the screen. Just as I called it right there in the grand finals in January the 21st too as well, with the restream, free restream later on a few weeks after that. So make sure you guys are looking out for that. That's going to help determine who is going to be the strongest team in Street Fighter 5 out here in Japan. And who's going to go off against EU and UK, or EU and I should say US. I mean, there's been a mix of a lot of these teams, all these players out here, and I almost mixed up because I was like, there's some that are EU-ish in the US, but
it's one of the U's, right? It's got to be one of the U's.
Yeah, one of them. But either way, it's going to be fantastic action. Either way, hopefully everyone enjoys that. Yep.
Without a doubt, December 29th as well as January 21st. You guys do not want to miss it if you guys want to check it out live, but the later streams will be announced as well. There's so many different giveaways as well. If you're a part of that scene in Japan at Capcom_esports, they give a ton of stuff away with all the collaborations they have made and all the partnerships that have been a part of Street Fighter League, pretty much supporting the economy of the fighting game community. They want to make sure that you guys are also packed with some of the equipment they use over at Street Fighter League, with one of these really hefty G-Tune PLB PCs now fully equipped for everything that you may need in terms of gaming purposes, but maybe work-related purposes, right? With a full Windows 11 in there. Again, be sure to follow along at xmoment_esports as well as Capcom_esports. And of course, one of my favorite things, the fan caravans. Being able to reach out to some of your favorite players if you are in Japan. This is a Japan exclusive. If I were there, I'd be taking full advantage of this and asking some of my favorite players, hey, what are your biggest strategies going up against some of the teams you have to go up against? You get insider knowledge of how these players perform with their characters and what they have going forward for some of their teams. Granted, if only we were there. The fan caravan for Saishun Console Kumamoto. Be prepared for that. As well as Street Fighter 6. I know you're excited for this, Sankola.
All I can think about Street Fighter 6 in my dreams, in my waking moments. Everything I'm thinking about right now is when Street Fighter 6 is coming through. We don't know. We do know that we have a lot of characters. We've already played up in the beta. Some have already been revealed. We haven't even got a beta yet of, Sim, Blanca, and Hana. In a way, that's a good thing. But also, I can't wait to see what they're going to do with these characters. I can't wait to see what the changes they're going to do. But what I also can't wait to see is the Street Fighter 5 coming up. In terms of the matchup, we still have Shinobi Gaming going up against Team Hiroshima Itsuka. Shinobi Gaming up in that top spot. They're already qualified, or they're in the qualification zone. They're sitting real pretty. Team Itsuka trying to play spoiler to that and trying to be just fire flames out here, still has that heat as if they're not even out. So I can't wait to see who's going to take it. We're going to get that after this very short break. Make sure you don't go anywhere. Maybe grab some snacks, some turkey legs and things like that, but make sure that you don't leave that seat, because once again, we still have more great Street Fighter 5 coming your way. Don't go nowhere.
広島チーム戦の模様をお届けしてまいります。それでは一旦失礼いたします。
ご安全にな。
お、新入りかな。いい顔に撮れてるじゃないか。改めて担当教官のルークだ。よろしくな。
手加減は期待しないでくれ。
We're back after this break. Episode 12, day 1. We're in the second half here. Shinobiism Gaming, Team Itsuka going up against each other, home and away side of things. And my name is Seiko. I'm doing Vicious. What can the people expect to see about this matchup?
Well, Hiroshima Team Ikuza, they're going to be playing point shavers, right? They want to make sure that Shinobiism Gaming doesn't get any points going into this, but it's going to be a tough draw. We'll see how it plays out for the team captain, the man who calls the returning Storm, leading the pack of Ikuza, that is Storm Kubo with Abigail, followed by the glittering personage. It's Gunfight, rocking both Oro and Alex, followed by the crux of Team Ikuza, Inaba, coming in with that hot and heavy Bison. And of course, the man to call out all the cowards. In fact, he would say, see ya, cowards. It's Crusher coming in with Birdie. Now, this team, although they may not have a chance into the playoffs any longer, considering how many points they are, or how many points they have going into it, they are going to try to prevent as many points as possible for their other teams to prevent Shinobiism Gaming from getting a further lead.
That's correct. Shinobi Game sitting in the second place spot. Shinobi gets some prime, lead the charge. Momochi with that Cody play, that fantastic Cody play. We're going to see also the grave maker himself, Fujimura, digging ditches out here for all of his ops with that Luke. After that, another Luke, but from the vantage point of defense, it is Yamaguchi coming through. And last but not least, my president, the Swanky Ninja himself, Johnny, ever so deadly with that G play, rounding out the top 2 team out here, sitting at 270 points currently, looking to get more on the board. And as you pointed out, Team Itsuka trying to play spoiler, trying to stop that from happening, trying to keep them situated in that same spot.
Yeah, I know we talked about Johnny as well. I think he hasn't really had that many big performances, but he does have a very solid record because of the fact that he hasn't been able to play as often. I think this is where he'll get to shine the most as the big counter pick, because take a look at what's on the away side. It's Gunfight with Alex, Crusher with Birdie, Inaba on the anchor as Bison. Now, this is the perfect opportunity to utilize the Swanky Ninja for a very big counter pick, either against Gunfight or maybe even against Crusher.
I definitely think that he's going to be such an important component, you know, utilizing them buffers against those mind situations from like the likes of Elbow. If you don't space them out right against Alex, and if you get in against Alex, it's game over. Same on the side of the likes of Birdie. If you put Birdie up in the corner, we've seen that continuously. He is freed up because all of his defensive options are blown up by throws, and the strike those are hot and heavy from the likes of G. Johnny going up first, just as you pointed out, and that's going to be real pivotal for this team to start off in the right way. But you know that someone like Gunfight is definitely ready, prepared for the likes of Johnny. Probably saw this coming.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to consider between the teams, right? They wanted to put 2 big bodies up on deck, and Johnny only being able to counter against one of them. I think that pretty much eliminates one of the big threats they have. I think going in with Crusher afterwards, I think it could have been either way. It could have gone either way for where Johnny was going to be at. I think overall putting the 2 big bodies with Alex and Birdie, they were looking to fish this out. Earlier the better, to be honest with you. I wouldn't have expected Crusher or Gunfight to be in the anchor position. I think this is going to be just fine. One of the biggest reasons why I think Johnny is going to be so heavily utilized in this matchup, we talk about G having some of the best light normals in the business because it's so bufferable that leads into so many different things, right? You could do a light into a smash under, smash over, etc., lead into a V skill, charge up your presidentiality level. Very, very important to get the mechanics of G going and get the flow overall and get the advantage. It just so happens that Alex, he has very long-range normals, right? That leaves him even more susceptible to some of these light whiff punishes. So I think this just makes absolute sense for someone like Johnny and Shinobiism Gaming.
However, Gunfight does say that he has, he thought this was coming through. Again, I helped him practice. It's another great G play we saw in the previous season on Saishun Console Kumoto's team. So we like to play well. Johnny says, leave it up to me. But I do think that you're right in these long-reaching normals like forward Fierce Laureate, even Fierce and things like that. Crouching into kick from G is a really fantastic button. Not only is it great for the activation, if you get close enough, that's into a light, into a, once again, bad situation in the corner sin if you have the EX bar into like smash upper or down or things like that. So as the rounds go down, I'm looking to see Johnny kind of fight in that right range where you can get those bufferable normals, fading in and out, walking back and forth, and looking to see what Gunfight's going to respond with. Is he going to go for the heavy kick crush, preemptively to stuff some of these light buttons, these bufferable buttons that we see from G? Is he going to go in for the dash-ins? But he has to be careful because, someone like Johnny has proven that he can check these dash-ins. And I want to go back to Johnny's record. As you pointed out, didn't have that many games. He's only had 4 games, but he's won 3 of his 4 games, only losing recently to White Shimochi. But I mean, that's still a good record in my eyes. 3 out of 4 is still fantastic considering the pedigree out here up at Street Fighter League Japan.
I think having Johnny as the big counter pick play has been nothing but beneficial for Shinobiism Gaming. I think it's been so difficult to contest against Johnny and his overall play style, and I think saving him for the final moments is going to pretty much pay off for Shinobiism Gaming. Like, how much data do you have against the way that Johnny's been playing his G, like his version of G? You only have one other G player in the league, right? And that's Itabashi, and it's not even that consistent because he also has Abigail in the wings if need be. So having this counter pick for Shinobiism Gaming, it just makes the team so diverse and so that much more dangerous, right? 2 Lukes, a G, and a Cody. Like that's a lot of power, man.
It's a lot of power. It's a lot of diversity. But we talk about diversity. There's a lot on the side of uniqueness on the side of Team Itsuka. They have Oros, they have Alexes, they have Birdies. Those characters are rarer to find in terms of fighting. Maybe they're not as strong as the characters that we just listed on the terms on the sides of Shinobi as a gaming, or even on like a team of Code 8 squad. However, that uniqueness can help out in terms of maybe you're not as fresh in terms of the matchup. You probably fought some Alexes, you've probably fought Gunfight, but how continuous have you fought someone like Gunfight or an Alex or whatever recently? Going to find these options and things like that is going to be harder. And even though they have the side of G, which is hard to find too as well, in terms of variety, it's a lot on the side of Team Itsuka. And I also, once again, I gotta say, I love Inaba in the anchor position. That's where he's been able to shine the most. So if he needs to close things out, he can do so. But you best believe that someone like Gunfight and Crusher too as well will get as many points as possible for their team. And even though they're out of it, even though they're down and out, they are not done fighting. They're not done shaving off the points, as you put it, taking away as many points as possible from these other teams.
We'll see if it comes to fruition, right? That's pretty much going to be the main objective for Hiroshima Team Ikuza. I would love to see Gunfight play in a more comfortable and confident state. I think obviously there's a lot of pressure that goes on into making the playoffs, but if you already know those sites of playoff dreams are no longer within reach, just gotta have fun, man. Like you gotta pretty much embrace the mission and be like, I want to try to be a wrench in some of the gears of some of these teams, right? So I would love to see Gunfight get a W on the board with his Alex, because I'm a fan. Like I'm a personal fan of his, man. I think he's got great potential with the character selection that he has. Very, very smart when it comes to the game of Street Fighter.
Talk about intelligence right there. The slap chop against the fireball. Love to see that from an Alex player. Understand to get that slap chop nice and close and personal. And now switching it up with the back throw. Heavy kick again. We talked about that button. Trying to challenge them light bufferable normals on the side of Johnny's G.
And we even got a safe jump set up. That wasn't even a counter hit, or there was a counter hit afterwards, but he didn't get to confirm off of it. Doesn't matter. Double back drop, not enough damage. Lights, yeah. That's so smart too. If you're gonna block all of these lights after the second one, best believe that throw is gonna be coming through, and you can't tech that.
It's a command grab, a lot of grip to do it. Better start here for Johnny, off the light, gets the buffer, and now puts him in the corner. Back fist, gets a B-skill, building up some B-bar, walks up the V-reversal that jab, the express purpose of snipping out the defensive option, and now Johnny's on the offense, about to get that stun, chases up the B-ship and gets it done. We talk about now, once again, blowing up the defensive option continuously. This is looking real free for Johnny. One more hit, the instant overhead, could be dead. The tall boy right there on the side of Alex.
Oh no, somebody called Demon Dan. We might see it. Not in front of my guy, Yipes! Not today. Johnny checking the dash against Gunfight.
Yeah, no highlight reel? No highlight reel? No highlight reel? That's
Not
crazy.
yet.
Johnny
Not
stopping it from happening. Not yet, not yet. Could happen.
Ooh, the big roundhouse, the big call out, right? We talked about the big counter poking strategy that G is trying to implement, but sometimes, if you have the right idea, you know what Johnny's going for. There it is, yeah, Gunfight, throwing out the lariat, catching Johnny counter poking. Watch out now.
Slap chop, max range activation. Fierce not opening up. It's a locked door. He goes low. Slips right underneath. He reversal, gets some distance with it. Gunfight in a good position right here. He's got a lot of health, but he's got B-ball that's actually taken down. B-reversal called out. Johnny sipping up the defensive options once again. About to get his win if he can get one good conversion into a super. Gunfight also sitting on bar. Ooh.
Now, V-trigger no longer on deck for either player. They're going to do this. Oh my God! How often has he gone for that exact route? Off of the stand jab. He's done it in the corner in round 1 against G, against Johnny. Didn't budge. This time with little life left to spare, it was a lot harder of a call. See a couple of mash buttons from the side of Johnny. Gunfight getting that first W. 2 rounds to 1. That could have been, it still could have gone either way. I think it was pretty close. I think with the amount of meter that Johnny had left, any solid light confirm could have led to massive damage and possibly checkmate in the corner.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely was in that distance to do so, but I like the stability, the sturdiness, the side of Gunfight. And again, as you pointed out, checking with them lights to see what he does, checking the temperature, and then diving in with the command grab or just following with the forward fierce. That button deleting a lot of things off the table. And I like that he's not even fearful of utilizing that button. Johnny hasn't really presented much of that crouching mini kick in that right range because there's been so much of a switch up with the economy of buttons overall from the side of Gunfight. He's doing a fantastic job, but a lot of the defensive options were getting blown up in the corner. Even though Gunfight's able to stay solid, I like that Johnny's calling those things out, so this could go either way still. Even though it was 2 in terms of rounds going down, it still could be anybody's game.
Yeah. We'll see how often Gunfight changes up his strategy in regards to this second game. I think there was a lot of frame traps into the mix to kind of test Johnny, what his defensive options were. I would love to see maybe the command grabs come out more. Maybe it might come out. But we'll see if Johnny even gives him that opportunity in the first place. Already pushing Gunfight to the corner.
Punish, stopping things, and now gets a sweep off the feet and the back throw. Get real good for Gunfight. Fierce buffer to the EX, I'm ready. As the extensions off that B skill. Yep, gotta watch out for that. Gotta hold that pressure. D-shift doesn't go for the break. Already has him caught up in the corner. Blocking low. Now try to get exposed to those toes. Oh, never mind.
Oh, that's gonna be huge. Checks the dash against Johnny. Power bomb. Not enough. Ooh. Nice and easy. Got ourselves another tick throw setup into command grab. Very, very difficult to contest against. I'm telling you, Johnny in places where he shouldn't be.
Ooh. Trying to level up. That presidentiality did not really work out. Not the biggest punish, but I like that Gunfight getting a little bit of damage from the deck. So on set point, that's a punish right there. Not fighting conversions is Johnny. He's breaking down the trade. 4 Fierce again, caught in the corner. Gets himself out and gets that presidentiality. Better fireballs. Can test with. Better extensions if he uses the EX bar.
I love this. Yeah, just trying to retain that corner pressure. Johnny with a very, very smart decision with the air-to-air and jump medium punch. Bringing himself back, at least the mid-screen. Trying to counterpoke with the lariat. We see Gunfight playing that range, standing heavy punch, just trying to snipe out a normal. There goes Johnny.
Catch a tech with the Fierce, gets the activation on block. Off in the corner. That defense like B reversal, good. Get some distance, I like that. Getting aggressive, simplifying the EX chop. Need some room.
Ooh, the spacing trap after the slash elbow. Another reversal, Gunfight, full control. Johnny is in deep trouble. Oh, and that's enough. Yeah, the lariat. He actually buffered it into the flash chop. Johnny was not ready. The counter poking strategy played against him. Gunfight taking the first W in a very, very long time for Hiroshima Team Ikusa.
Even overall for the team, even overall for Gunfight themselves, I mean, sitting at 1 win out of the 7 games they played, finally getting another one on the board has definitely been a bit with it. I think the last time that he won was the first one, but this one, and the first two, you can see how much it means to Gunfight right there briefly. Outpoking this character, just doing too much damage, and then getting in with the 4 Fierce light punch mix up. Am I going for a command grab? Am I going for another 4 Fierce? Am I going to switch things up with a dash in, put Johnny on the back foot? And I love the defensive V reversal, still sticking to that option. Johnny not blowing them up continuously. We saw the defense getting broken down a bit on the side of Gunfight, but he stuck to his game plan and was able to take down the significant powerhouse that is Johnny, that the secret weapon. I don't want to say secret weapon, the weapon of Johnny that was supposed to come through and take down one of the big bodies.
Right, it's something that went in the way more so of Hiroshima Team Ikusa, right? I think there was a lot of preparation there. Gunfight had mentioned it, playing off against Yanai's G, and also just G experience. I feel like you get that a lot more often in the realm of ranked or against other people in comparison to finding these Alex mains, right? I think there's not too many. The only other person that's close within that region I don't even know how to call it. I would have to look it up again. I had the list and I just totally forgot off the top of my head. But yeah, it's not too many Alex players out in Japan. So taking a look at that, the overall stats, we talked about the the anti-airs. Overall, there were a couple of opportunities that Johnny had missed to get some of these anti-airs. And even the strike throw game, we've seen a lot of tick throws from the side of Alex, but it wasn't the way that you thought, right? We had a lot of command grabs that came through, so there is not an option. There's not an available escape out of command grabs if you get got. That's just how it is, man. That's just what the example as to why command grabs are so powerful. So with that in mind, Gunfight taking it down over Johnny. 10 points.
Now we're going to see Crusher coming up with the deck on the away side of things, and Momochi actually going up. Surprising. I thought Momochi was going to be up in the anchor position. He's been so strong in that position either way, but maybe he'll leave that to the likes of Fujimura. Either way, I think this is a good matchup overall for Cody, despite the fact that that medium punch is so good on the side of Birdie. If a character like Cody puts you in the corner, and he will do so even on block with the Zonk, it's going to be hard for Birdie to contest. However, I don't want to take anything away from the likes of Crusher's play. We've seen him, and I keep talking about this because it's so important, take down some of the best sims in Japan in the World Warrior event. Even though his record out here doesn't really showcase how strong he is as a player, his world record run, or his world warrior run, has been fantastic, and it showcases how he operates in matchups that maybe aren't so good for Birdie, and a character that has been dropped to the side because other characters have been stronger and buffed, and Birdie kind of left to the side a little bit in terms of getting a little bit of love. Crusher only getting 1 win so far out of the 9 games that he's played, looking to do so, looking to get another W, but this is the team captain. This is Momochi, one of the most dominant players in the league so far. It's going to be difficult.
Truly is. I think there's a lot to be said with the way that Crusher has been playing towards the later end of the season, the later half of the season, I should say. It's been, he's getting some of the W's wherever he can. Like these last couple of weeks may not have benefited him as much as we had hoped, but overall, I don't think he's had that much of the Cody experience throughout the league, right? I don't think he's been able to play off against the other Codys available, but I think there's been plenty of other matchups where he's had against Luke's, and overall that record has been pretty much near 50-50, but going into this, I kind of understand why Cody would go up from the side of Momochi, with Momochi coming up against Crusher instead of going into the anchor spot, right? In regards to how they performed the last encounter, I think it was back in week number 5, Momochi had actually played off against Inaba and taken a full sweep 3-0. So he doesn't want to get that run back. Despite having such a dominant performance against Inaba, there's data out there, right? You don't want Inaba to get that data against you and even roll the dice on something like that. I think
that's a good point.
Having this opportunity to face off against Crusher, who doesn't have any sort of record against Cody so far in the league specifically, I think he would much rather take his bets and play off against these kind of statistics and possibly for the better. I think this is going to be something that's going to be so difficult, I feel like, for Birdie more so than Cody.
And, Inaba is one of those tech heads, so I definitely think he'll have something for Momochi if that would have happened. But they did plan for this too as well. They also planned for this. Crusher says that they knew Momochi was going to come through, so he prepped himself. He thinks this is his very first time that he's played against him in a tournament. Mochi says, yes, I agree that this is the first time we played a tournament with Crusher. So, first time for everything. This is the first. Y'all get a world exclusive out here if it is really the first time, into the recollection at least. But it definitely has been a bit since they've seen each other in tournament. They've seen each other right here. And that means we'll have to see who's going to be in that anchor position. But again, I'm getting ahead of myself. Crusher needs that W. Momochi and his team want to keep that second place spot, and if not, try to exceed that second place spot. It's going to be even harder to do so since they won't be able to get a 40 bomb, but they'll be able to leave it with some points possibly, depending on what happens in this match. Crusher has a lot weighing on him, and honestly, overall, all these players have a lot weighing on them. I feel like every match is almost an anchor match as it gets down to the nitty-gritty. Even if you're in that top spot, you want the top seeding, you want to be in a chill position as much as possible. You do not want to be outside the qualification zone, much less in the lower side of seeding. So all this matters.
Right, you're looking at the vast difference too between the two players, right? Between Crusher and Momochi, right? You kind of see their demeanor and how they kind of perform overall. I think there's still going to be a lot of pressure regardless with Hiroshima Team Ikuza with the way they want to play in the long term, pretty much the long run of things, right? There's still so many more opportunities for Japan to make it to the big dance, even outside of Street Fighter League. I think, having the World Warrior projects pretty much around the corner, I think in 2 days, man, we get to get blessed with that this weekend, as a matter of fact. That's going to be kind of wild, right? So they have to take it in stride, right? Like, they got to take as much experience as possible. Crusher has been doing pretty well for himself over at World Warrior. I want to see whether or not he's going to be able to step up right now against the prime ninja that is Momochi and Shinobiism Gaming. We'll see how this plays out. Personally, I've slowly become a fan of Crusher and his work ethic. I love seeing birdies out there still trying to stick and commit to this character. I think, guys like Crusher and Veggie for the EU, and Mena RD for Street Fighter League US, right? They've shown a lot of potential with this character, but it's just, I feel like, could be quite the struggle.
Yeah, we still see the likes of Mags. In Japan, there's also like the likes of Shiftney. Some of those players have dabbled in other secondaries and things like that, or maybe have the backup. But Crusher is solely sticking with the birdie, has been doing so since Alpha 3. And I know he's very happy to see his character come back. Maybe not in the position that it used to be in the previous seasons, but when you have a character that you played for years upon years, you build up that knowledge, that expertise. You have these minute things in matchups that it takes a little bit longer for other players that switch characters to sniff out. So we'll see if he has something in store for Momochi's Cody.
You see it. It's going to be game number 1. This is the second match between these two teams. Hiroshima Team Ikuza. They're trying to play spoiler to Shinobiism Gaming. That's pretty much the overall game plan. They're already off to a fantastic start. You can see over there, Gunfight with 2 wins under his belt. Let's see if Crusher could follow suit.
Pokes upon pokes, lights every so often. So we see the heavy kick resorted to by the side of Momochi. Maybe check those buttons. Nice. Has to confirm off that medium.
I love this. I love the spacing that Crusher's playing at. He's making sure none of his normals don't go out without a reason, right? A lot of these have kind of touched Momochi, built up some of that gray life, but more importantly, pushed him towards the corner. This is exactly the kind of play that I love to see from Crusher. It's going to be forcing a lot from Momochi to get out of the corner. He does get the throw after that activation into trigger. Tables have turned now. What's the response?
Where you want to be? Heavy Zog follow-up, medium ruffian kick, the hold, the strike throw, waits and baits, only gets an overhead. You should have been dead. But still, it's one more touch. One more hit will do it. Momochi getting closer and closer. Knife throw, the medium kick, gets a hit. He goes to the next round with all that bar at the bottom. And again, in that corner is not where you want to be as birdie. All those moves that you want to do on reversal side of things get blown up with the throws.
So ambiguous when Momochi wants to let it rip. He already spent 2 EX bars just to ensure that Crusher stays in the corner, plus frames afterwards, but no sir, does get the activation. It's going to be great. Increased range pretty much following up after the V trigger too, if he needs be. Not going to be a true block shooting if he goes for something that's heavily committal. Oh boy.
Hit with it. Heavy Zog. Crusher to kick to keep it meaty. A little bit of gray life on there. Crusher looking for those buttons. And again, this season, after season, I should say for birdie, you have to be smart with the buttons. You have to spin them right. Before you can be real liberal with it, but now, oh man, the light EX off, followed with the medium kick, Ruffy, and those medium punches doing dividends to put the end of Crusher.
That's rough. I feel like with the pace that Crusher has been playing at, like slowly pushing Momochi to the corner, he has to find himself in positions where he doesn't fall susceptible to that side switch. But it's so difficult too, right? It's such a grindy process that even doing that initial game plan is only going to benefit Momochi eventually, because it's going to activate into trigger. He's going to lead into a scenario where you have to guess. And you can't guess incorrectly against Cody, because you can either get the side switch, or if you decide to press a button, right, and you call it out wrong, you could get counter hit for a ton of damage, and this is just not right. Crusher, he's going in. Some of these buffered normals just going into bullhorn or bullhead. Bullhorn, excuse me. Sorry, it is right. Bullhorn is not the wave.
At that B skill, locking him down the neutral. Hard for Cody to deal with. He's have to take to the skies, and Momochi just blocking it out. He's A-okay with it. Anti right there, just staying nice and easy and breezy with the blocks. Puts himself in the corner. Now you get to exemplify that good corner pressure that birdie has until he gets off with that pushback like that. A lot of great life. Don't get hit, the crush. Get the V-bar at the bottom, make it safe either way.
It can't. It's just so difficult. It's absolutely so difficult with the amount of beater that Momochi has left into this final round potentially, right? Match point for Momochi. What are you supposed to do as Crusher? There's a big attack. Charged up the Zonk. All the way to the corner. Gashes up twice. Makes him pay the fee for anti-air. Oh boy.
It's a fee and stun and health. Look at that corpse run. He's on. Medium kick Ruffian right there. It's almost an activation. Too far out maybe to do anything about it, but still, Mochi with a big lead right here. He is leading, and Crusher, he is bleeding. He's looking for these hit confirms off of medium or fierce to find those extensions. Doesn't want to let the gap in like that, off the chains, on block. Oh, medium kick. Careful the EX Zonk, that bar at the bottom. Gotta be so worried about that. Mochi walking back menacingly, knowing that he is A-okay with the EX bar at play to push him back out. The Crusher has to worry about.
Still has 40 seconds on the clock. Oh no. One touch away. Definitely one touch away. What are you supposed to do? With your back towards the corner and the knife out in front of your face like that? And he's running out of time? Yeah, the anti-air. You cannot. Yeah, you were not clear for takeoff. Nice and easy for Momochi. 2 games straight. And what looked initially like Crusher having that momentum looking pretty positive in regards to like how he was playing against Momochi, overall just ended up in a massacre. I think Momochi, again, just biding his time. He is definitely one to kind of play the timer out. And he's been that dude for so long, literally, even outside of the league. He's been able to play that kind of game, that slow and meticulous game. And, you know, as great as Crusher was out the gate, there just wasn't enough of the mental stamina in comparison to Momochi.
Yeah, you saw a breakdown with the jump in. We hadn't really seen that many jump ins come through from the side of Crusher. And we saw a couple jump medium kicks here and there, but not a lot overall. I feel like that last jump really told the tale of the tapes in terms of that frustration that you feel. And even on the ground, without any buttons being pressed with the side of Momochi, you can feel the presence because of that EX bar, the idea of EX Zonk coming through in the neutral too. So Mochi just dominant everywhere up on the screen.
No, without a doubt. I think there's a lot to be said in regards to the stats here. You talked about the strike throw game, particularly with the Cody matchup. You do not want to be susceptible to any big counter hit explosions that Cody can present. He hits like a truck, and we talk about this time and time again. So a lot of donuts on the side of the big donut eater, Birdie, but it's a very good reason why we didn't see a lot of techs from the side of Crusher in regards to the strike throw game. But 10 points awarded to Shinobiism Gaming. We're still able to get a big 30-point game in total for either of these teams. It's Inaba sitting at the anchor. Who do you send up?
I say go Fujimura. Watching Fujimura's play recently and how much he's been grinding, not saying Yamaguchi hasn't, I feel like he's finding himself in the neutral a lot better. He's found the buttons that he loves, back heavy kick and all those things like that. But I find he's getting more stable up in the neutral. And I want to see someone that's very optimal, very technical with their character, go up against someone that's also very technical too as well. We've seen Inaba exemplify some great things on defense and offense, where he stands, how he anti-airs, how he utilizes the feature and things like that throughout not only the league, but in CPT as well. I want to see someone who is just tech-minded, tech-savvy with their character go up against Inaba. And it is going to be Fujimura Luke.
結構負けてはいるんですけど、今日ぐらいはちょっと壊させてもらいます。頑張ります。
Now Inaba has had to face off, I think, Luke after Luke after Luke. To be honest with you. Let me take a look at that while we get that going. So overall, taking a look thus far in week 11, right? Not too long ago, a couple of days ago, Inaba had to face off against Nauman in a very, very heated exchange between Luke and Bison. It went down to the wire, right? In weeks prior, I think, you know, looking back at it, he's been very active thus far. I think in so many different weeks, Inaba has been playing a bunch of times for Hiroshima Team Ikuza. I haven't seen a lot of results over from his side in regards to him playing against Luke's outside of Nauman's overall. Yeah, from what it looks like, there's no way. He actually hasn't played off against Luke outside of Nauman.
Ooh, lucky.
That's actually
Buy a lotto ticket with that luck. All things considered, though,
wild.
Fujimura, I mean, he does say that he does fight Fujimura online, and he loses quite often. But this is a different spectacle, right? That's ranked, and I'm trying things out and stuff like that. Especially like a high level players will try things out, try out strategies, stuff like that, and ranked. And when it comes down to nitty-gritty for like a tournament, for a league, especially when you have people depending on you, your maybe not your tournament life, but their tournament lives, or how far they're going to go in the playoffs, things like that, is a different sort of heat. So Inaba may be coming through different. However, Fujimura with that W continuously may showcase some things, at least in the preliminary parts of these matchups, where he's like, I understand your level 1s and level 2s. But we'll have to see something in terms of like the level 3s and 4s and the other layers that Inaba can present, especially in a longer set.
Right, I think there's something that's significantly different in detail in regards to the ranked experience, right? You have the option of getting the run back, right? That is 2 out of 3, but this is different territory considering this is the anchor spot, right? I think that final game could be the big playmaker, right? Just having that extra game in your pocket, being able to utilize that for strategy and make those adaptations could spell out a whole different kind of result in regards to what you would usually experience in ranked. So I think there's a lot to be said with Inaba, the way that he's been playing. I think there's possibly a way to get the ball rolling against Fujimura with just that one extra game. We've seen it before, right? We've seen full blowouts or potential blowouts get snuffed out and get reverse swept, excuse me. But overall, in regards to the performances, right, he still has a tough hill to climb because this is Fujimura, after all. He's been pretty consistent, right? Currently in 16th in ranking in regards to like overall point earners in the league. So just about at the halfway mark, he's got 40 points to his name.
Even outside of Street Fighter League, he's been really consistent in terms of the World Warrior events. Recently getting that top 8 spot. And I think, once again, finding his way with the Luke, finding out beyond what's just cheap with the character, finding out how to play neutral, how to play matchups and things like that, grinding hours upon hours on his stream. Y'all can definitely visit that and catch that, figure out how he's starting to play, how he's going to play against Inaba. The first of 3, longer than just a normal ranked set, if he's going to take it for their team.
Fun fact, Inaba actually has 10 more points than Fujimura. He actually has 50.
Word.
But to be fair, Inaba has played in almost every game for Team Itazan. So he's got way more under his belt. But taking a look at it now, he does have the life lead. Hopefully he takes the lessons he's learned from playing against Nauman on Tuesday and implements it here. So far, he's doing a very, very great job against Fujimura.
A little space in this place with them scissor kicks. I like that range he's playing at. He's keeping it ambiguous when he swings out the Fierce 2 as well, because we've seen that be whip punish previously. He's already had a different game plan. Crouching kick, nothing after that, didn't have the buffer, but the Fierce is just fine. Inaba with the first win, dominant fashion right here. And some of that is because of the fact that he's putting the scissor kicks in these sequences. The Fierce and down 4 Fierces, hiding these scissor kicks and pushing more to the corner.
Snap back. Now the forward throw. It's going to be roundhouse. Yeah, I don't think Fujimura got it at the +1 scenario. And I love the V-shift break to get himself out of the plus scenario from Fujimura. That pressure completely nullified, but still hasn't made himself out of the corner just yet. Finds himself again, very familiar position. One sequence. Could be it. One more touch. There's the tech. Slide activate. Is it going to be a comeback for Inaba? Fujimura, yeah,
confident walk back.
Space for himself. Ooh. Saw the reversal from Inaba. He tried to get in with the scissor kick. Got blown up by the sandblaster.
I have a couple of lead right there. I like that from Fujimura. You know, being able to walk back with it, not going to overextend. Saves all that ball for the next round. And we see the EX fireball come through, but now here's the EX scissor kick, get the hard knockdown. Counter hit, caught him pressing buttons. Nice press against the wall. Blast. Keeping that range again. Scissor kick addition. What's up in the corner? Let's see if Fujimura can make the most out of this situation. Inaba's put himself in. Never mind, he's fine. Crutchman kick, scissor kick. Caught him dashing in. Target combo, Oki.
Out of there? Yeah, and I love that. Absorbing? Did he actually get it? Yeah, he did get the sandblaster. Man, Fujimura just dashed right in there after the block scissor kick. Good reaction from Inaba, just absorbing the sandblaster. You can't charge V skill 1 in front of Inaba. No, sir.
EXTP. What's up from Fujimura to get some distance. Activation, of course, but Inaba only needs one more hit to do it. D-shift again. EX, down 4 fierce with a crush called to press or something. Inaba with the call out.
Vega wins.
Okay, this is the kind of plays I like to see from Inaba, right? Taking exactly what he used against Nauman, flipping the script a little bit and adjusting it, make a few tweaks to the play against Fujimura, getting that W.
Fight.
That scissor kick, man. I feel like that's been one of the tale of tapes in terms of Inaba's new play today. Being able to harass with that forward momentum right there has been such a switch up that we saw previously against the likes of Nauman. Fujimura's got the switch up where he stands, so maybe they get minus with punish it. But now it's hard when you put up against the corner. The stun's rising. Hold this throw off that light. Caught him dashing in, target combo, sims down the stun, and get some area out of there. Some real estate out of there, I should say. Oh, he ran that roll. He got the hit with it. Key boy.
Dash up. No, I lied. Good safe jump. He should break. Now we're just one big fierce sequence away. If he could land a crush counter into EX possibly. See how it goes? Is he gonna try to close the gap?
Nice
no, I knew it. I knew it. I had a feeling in my bones. Bison players, we're gonna be Bison players. The Psycho Axe getting a little bit greedy. I understand the sentiment, right? You wanted to get those plus frames to maybe chip away at the opponent's life a little bit because they were getting that gray life back, but just a little bit out of range. Luke, not the slowest character, that's for sure. But man, being able to be outside of that range to whip punish Fujimura, completely on it.
Back heavy kick. Ooh, this time the Fears still ready with it. The dash and the block though from Inaba, has to hold the throw. Reversal jab, nothing after that though. Could have been into a medium even at that range. Inaba not able to take advantage. Caught him dash in it again. You can't dash that slow dash. The purple flash that you see right there, easily able to call out what's going to happen in terms of that movement from Bison. But now Inaba's up close and personal.
Ooh. A little bit of an awkward movement there from Inaba. He tried to charge forward. Wait a minute. Yeah, after the crush counter, trying to get as much space as possible. The tick throw actually benefiting Fujimura instead. Inaba actually miscalculated. He didn't think the tick throw was gonna work in regards to the low short.
EX but blocks it out. Fujimura, see that jump back, looking for the scissor kick, gets it off the medium kick. One more, we'll see. He's got the bar at the bottom, and this might disallow Inaba from activation. He has to hold that D bar or the V reversal. He gets that chip range. Or just the fadeaway in play, the 2-pointer, I should say almost a 3-pointer, considering this is a first of 3. But I like that Fujimura gets a lot of these jump backs against the slide and the scissor kick and denies that movement in.
Yeah, that's just overall good anticipation of what Inaba is trying to do. Right? I think there hasn't been a lot of ambiguity as to when he's trying to pop trigger. And more often than not, if they get antsy, I think neutral jumping or even back jumping is not going to be too detrimental to throw out there every so often when you kind of have that intuition, that kind of call out where Bison players are going to slide activate. So very good call out from Fujimura. A pretty standard play, I will say. It just so happened to be perfectly utilized in that moment. So having that game, tying it all up with Inaba, I wonder what's going to be the strategy too. He's been a little bit apprehensive with that Psycho Axe more often than not. He's been he's been whiff punished like multiple times over. I kind of want to know what happens when he just kind of uses the walk speed towards Luke. Like if he just slowly creeps up against Luke and hovers outside of the medium range and finds ways to kind of force maybe a whiff punish from Fujimura, play his reactions against him potentially.
I think that's actually a good idea. I think we've seen him get caught with the dashes, and all that's allowing Fujimura to do is get Oki. He gets that 3-frame light punch or crouching light punch into the target combo into Oki, and then Bison has to hold that. What I'd like to see is, as you said, walking him down. The idea of the down forward fierce, the idea of the fierce, the idea of the corner carry, and then every so often getting a charge in so he can get those scissor kicks, EX edition 2 as well, to help hide those intentions. Because the dashes have been getting him got, and I feel like he's losing so much health that even if he has the V bar for the V trigger, it's not really doing much. And also the V trigger, on that note, hasn't been really doing much. I want him to get in that distance where that command grab becomes a threat.
See if it's a possibility. Let's see if Inaba finds a way to utilize that V-trigger too before he gets blown up. Now Fujimura being pretty active with the Sandblasters. Inaba not being able to contest against it. In comparison to what he was doing previously in the other games, he was able to V-skill on reaction against some of these Sandblasters. That hasn't been it. That hasn't been the play yet thus far. Fujimura, again, throwing some of these Sandblasters over and over again. Inaba not being able to catch one.
Yeah, it's been kind of difficult. Hiding his intention with the crouching light kick, medium punch buttons and things like that. On the jump back, there's that fierce, we talked about that button. A lot more than just the walk speed. Dash, but luckily doesn't get hit with it. That's a punish right there. Light knuckle, it's it back to mid-screen. Now the dashes are coming through hot and heavy. Fujimura, how is he not going to stop that? He does duck and get the throw, back throw. Down 4 fierce, it's a little bit of gray life. Could stop some of these dashes with medium kick too as well. Inaba does have that button. We saw it against Nauman. Maybe fearful of maybe getting whip punish.
Now Inaba, not only with a significant life lead, but also plus frames after the EX scissor kick. He has so much time to get this W. Will he play it out, or will he get it via KO? We'll see. Crush, counter off the forward heavy punch. That heavy impact's gonna lead to a lot. Forward throw. What happens now? Take a look. What? He's trying to catch buttons from Inaba. The back throw is there. Inaba, very fortunate. Fujimura being the hot stepper in places where he shouldn't be. He tried to be a little bit tricky in regards to his movement, or at least towards the normals he utilized towards the end. He was trying to catch a frame trap. Inaba not budging a single bit. Interrupting the Psycho Axe. Fujimura not afraid to contest.
It's the back throw though on that mistake. They get the down 4 fierce, the neutral jump, tech. He's in the corner. Inaba in the corner, has to find a way out. This is where Fujimura wins. So kid to get some distance with it. Down 4 fierce again. Fierce, blast, cancel, back rise, challenge. He knew that was fake. He shift into break, says you better wait. He's trying to get that oppression. And now approaches with that crouching kick confirmed. DP ender, tech. EXE's out of there. I like that escape option from Inaba. Don't want to be put in the corner. You have a 3 frame, but not much else to your name in terms of contesting. In terms of defense, walk block. I like this from Inaba.
Just chipping away the life and then playing active defense against Fujimura, looking for the anti-airs. And again, the scissor kick's been so important. And there you go. We got to see a little bit of a frame trap, the whip punish, I should say, from Inaba. And that's more than enough. I love that. Even if he was done with that, if there was a little bit extra life left, he had V-Trigger 2 on deck to extend the combo. Very, very well done in regards to the potential mix-ups in the corner. Like Fujimura getting caught slacking with a throw bait, that's very uncommon.
Yeah. Good sign right there for Inaba in terms of the oppression, pressure, and pressure that he was putting on the likes of Fujimura. And he's doing a good job of finding his own way out of the corner too as well. Spinning some EX bar, just get that distance, not be caught up where he doesn't need to be, where the likes of Fujimura can run with the mediums, back medium punch for the plus range, things like that, avoids that situation, and now puts himself on game point. Team Itsuka might be taking down the second place team.
I think this is so important to note. I mean, like, they might have made a miscalculation from the side of Shinobi-ism Gaming, throwing up a loop against Inaba in back-to-back games this week, especially with how close he was against Nauman, man. He's made such a big improvement in this matchup. You can see it. Back throw now. Are we going to see the activation? Eventually we will. It's just a matter of how, right? In this range, it's so dangerous to even try to get a sweep. He didn't slide against the punish or against the physical activation against Fujimura, so any big opener for Fujimura could lead to extreme damage or at least very heavy corner carry. Oh no!
Ooh. I love that sequence right there. The jump over, that's a ton of damage. Not dead, but check that red. You're so close. And Fujimura in that weird range where it's hard for Bryson to anti-air. Slide apply for the activation. Blocked up from Fujimura. Medium. Nothing off of that. Not going for the Cycle Crusher just yet. Betting on the scissor kick. Ball takes one jump back to kill him like that. Ooh. Down 4 Pierce gets the crush. The reset trying to get the command grab, but the flip out. He's out of there and gets the crush. We take DP. Fujimura. Guessed correctly.
2 unfortunate instances, all because of jumps. Inaba looked to have it in the bag, but Fujimura, again, making the right decision to jump out of harm's way. It's really unfortunate for Inaba, really unlucky. anti-air still within reach though, deterring the jump from Fujimura. We've seen how sharp of an angle that was though. I think Fujimura is looking to do it again. He might do it again. There we go, catching the Sandblaster, pocketing it for later, but instead uses it immediately. Now the EX Scissor Kick for the knockdown.
Asher back to the mediums, looking for more of the crouch mini kick, but no problem though. Fujimura keeping a good distance where he can throw out the fireballs and not get them absorbed. Harder to deal with it. Flash too as well. Fujimura every so often going to the skies to try to get a jump in on the scissor kick. But Inaba, again, hiding his intentions with the buttons. Medium, nothing after, didn't have a buffer. See him walking forward, losing his charge, but he ain't losing ground going down. He's pushing Fujimura to the corner. With that walk speed, with the ability of that character, with the fears, down four fears, this could come through, but the whip punish.
Oh!
Not enough though, too far out.
I think that's great for Inaba. If Fujimura ends up going for that the snapback combo again, he needs to do fierce to get the whip punish against a Psycho X. Inaba's not going to give him that chance again. I hope not, at least. Yep, does get the counter poke. And the forward throw, looking at match point, potentially battle point. We'll see.
Inaba on set point. All that practicing he had against the Luke previously, against Nauman, switching up what he does. More the scissor kick, more the walk downs, even immediately in this match. Showing something different. Fujimura needs to find something for that fierce. We saw the life of Nauman get the heavy kick, but the jumping coming through and the charger right there, the chaser, I should say. Corner carry.
Forward throw now back against the wall. Inaba already off to a great start in terms of defense and getting himself out of the corner. No, sir. A little bit of awkward mobility, or sorry, awkward movement after that. Wasn't able to get the meaty, but still didn't suffer too much damage. Fujimura needs one clean hit. You already know he's trying to be the master of lethal. He does get it. That's the biggest thing I was looking for. The Psycho Axe plus V-Shift, that's going to be a very, very dangerous concoction. You don't want to mix the two. Fujimura, 1000% looking for that. Psycho Axe being Mr. Lethal himself, you already know he was looking for that big damage finish.
I love him using that V-bar. That's what you typically see when you fight Bison from most of the characters in the cast. So go for the V-reversal. Then when V-shift got implemented, it really put a damper on how Bison's going to structure their offense. You have to be careful about doing things like down four fierce, scissor kick and things like that. They can be V-shifted into punish. And someone like Luke with all that range, it's not strange to see him have something ready. However, the Gravedigger going for the super right after that down four fierce, perfect. Keeps him in the game and puts us at game point for both players. This is sick.
It just goes to show you how how in-depth players can be and sometimes kind of miss out on the bigger picture. They could kind of tunnel vision their way into trying to get that W. You always have to remember when it comes to characters with very long startup of moves, right? Being susceptible to V-shift is gonna be a thing, right? You have to really understand, like, hey man, if these guys have V-shift and you guys have seen the kind of counters or them being capable of that counters, like that's got to be held in the back seat of your mind. It's like you can't be throwing out some of these cycle axes like that willy-nilly.
Round one.
What if it's a matter of him just getting comfortable, too comfortable up in the match like that, but now Fujimura showing him some defense with it, maybe showing him, a little bit more than what you saw up in rank. The down four fierce until that bar comes through. Definitely let that rock as long as he's close enough. If he's too far, still be a whip punish. Anti with the crouch fierce. Inaba off to a fantastic start and pushing Fujimura to the corner. Walking and blocking, not getting hit with the shots.
Now again, very similar start. For a majority of these rounds, he's had the life lead and he's trying to suppress Fujimura into this corner, the V-shift out of there. But again, very close angle. Fujimura able to get out of the corner. Inaba, very luckily, gets the back throw now. What's going to be the option here for Fujimura? Scissor kick just eats that. Jumps again! Inaba not ready for it. V-shifts for safety. Fujimura doesn't want to give him a free bar. Okay, actually does anyway.
Hit him with that EX scissor kick, the hard knockdown, and that's the end of the round. With the fierce, this corner pressure looking super difficult, just hard to deal with. Fujimura taking too much damage, even in the round start, and right now, set point, Inaba.
Again and again, set point. Ran into the snapback. Was trying to get a fitted cap early. Fujimura slowly trying to push away, but Inaba doing such a great job of pushing Fujimura back, using some of the bigger normals. Oh, that's huge! Fujimura just committed to it. I don't even know how, but he might have thought Inaba was walking backwards. Absorbs the Sand Blaster, great reactions, but what are you gonna do though? Oh, so smart.
The chase down, he's looking for the V-shift now. I love that from Inaba. The next layer is looking for the defensive option and trying to blow it up. Down for Fierce. Fierce again, caught the V-shift. We talked about that situation. Hard knockdown with the EX scissor kick. One more good EX scissor kick should seal it. V-shift, sweep off the feet. Fujimura not done yet. The side switch, back medium charge combo. Puts him in the corner. What's your defense like? Call him trying to leave. I'm not done talking to you. It's done, and you're almost through. Wait a minute. Oh, not yet.
That's not what he wanted. Yeah, Fujimura definitely not ready for the post-stun combo. I don't know. I don't know what his intentions were, but I'd imagine he wanted to go off the wall with a flash knuckle. Stuck for the wrong one.
They're gonna turn out to bite him. Not this round going down. In fact, what's going down is final game, final round. Saving himself with that V-trigger. Stopping Inaba from coming through and switching up what he does with that V-bar. Giving us the final game between the two.
Oh. EX Rising Rocket. EX Head Stomp going air to air. EX Rising Rocket again. Very expensive round pretty early. These guys aren't even trying to save up for the holidays. They see the Black Friday deals now.
Gotta have it now. So jump. There's a kick again. In that range where, again, highly intentions with the buttons, but that's a whip punish. Not the biggest one, but Fujimura adding up in terms of damage. Slide, able to stay solid and not get trip guarded. Can Inaba do something with his V-bar at the bottom with the V-trigger?
Ooh, that was a sick punish against the Sand Blaster. What a reaction from Inaba. I haven't seen that ever, I feel like.
More in the tank. EX. Be able to use it, looks like. He does have him in the corner. Lands on the blast. Side switch with the cross up. Jumping medium kick. In the throw.
No.
The bar for the EX reversal. Oh, didn't do it.
He's saving the bar. He's absolutely saving the V gauge. Inaba running out of time. Oh boy. Oh, walks up to him. Nothing.
Trying to punish the fireball. Activation finally coming through. Seconds of the clock. Shots. Reversal jab. Nothing off his. Get the medium.
Oh, that was
Who's gonna take it?
That's gonna be. That's Fujimura, the thermal back after the EX Sand Blaster. Inaba not able to hold on. That's Shinobiism Gaming getting 30 points in a very, very close instance. The V-trigger coming in clutch. Although the master of lethal, he's also a master of schemes. This man had it planned out with the trigger. Super well played. I thought it was going to be for any sort of defensive maneuvers with V-Gauge. No, he saved it for activation to chip damage. What a genius. What an actual genius.
Actually super smart with it. The scheme to make that man lean was to utilize that V-bar, as you point out, in different sort of ways. As things went down, harder for Bison to dash in or get those buttons. We saw the V-trigger end up as the win in the previous round, and then that last round saving the day with probably the last two hits or the last hit, just a little bit to do it, getting the time over. Fujimura also utilizing the EX bar with the bust outs. Man, all those things combined with him being optimal and staying solid in the face of drops. Fantastic play, Fujimura. Shinobiism Gaming walking away with a 30.
Man, I was pretty much near speechless towards the end. Like after that, I had to take a huge breath because again, Inaba, there were a couple of instances where he could have had the game, but it's really unfortunate. We started to see Inaba really come to his own in regards to the Luke matchup, just based off of how he played against Nauman. It's just really unfortunate that he didn't get the W. I thought that was his game to win, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I ain't gonna lie, I thought so too as well. I mean, he played great. I mean, we saw what he did in terms of the changeup against Inaba. I'm sorry, against Nauman. Inaba was able to utilize more of the scissor kicks to come through. I felt like that was a really big part of the game plan to set up shop for down 4 Fierce. It's just the V-bar usage was something different with the whip punishes, and even outside of that, we saw him whip punish with the back heavy kick. We'll get all into that later on. We'll get the winning team interview right now. Johnny said he cheered so much, getting 30 points is huge for the side of Shinobiism Gaming as they widen the gap against Nagoya Oja Body Star and Shaisun Kansou Kumoto, both sitting at 260. For Shinobiism Gaming, they're now at 300 points. They're only 20 points away from Good 8 Squad. Not 200, 20 points away from Good 8 Squad.
Yeah, still a comfortable lead for Good 8 Squad as they still have their games to play this week. But I would love for you to continue your point, actually. You were kind of talking about the matchup with Inaba as well as Fujimura, right? We were talking about the progress that Inaba had versus the Lukes, right? As we get the post-game interview translations going. I feel like Fujimura, again, like he was slowly starting to get away with like a couple of these jumps. That was pretty much the big highlighted factor against Inaba, if I'm not mistaken.
No, you're right. You're right. Those in that weird angle where Bison can't really crouch Fierce, he has to back up. And then for Inaba, you're giving up space. You're giving up room. And if you haven't caught up in the corner, that's sometimes good, but not always. And that's still an awkward thing because it is predictive with it to get the crouch Fierce. He even went for the hell attack. We saw that continuously. But Fujimura taking preemptively to the skies and getting jump Fierce to stuff that button. And I'll be real, I have barely ever seen hell attack get stuffed. So that's good play for Fujimura to get that right range, to get that, push down, back down to the ground, and then put him pressure him in the corner where Inaba really wasn't able to find much with the V-trigger because a lot of that V-bar was spent. Oof, Fujimura, a gravedigger.
So we are getting the rest of the winning team interview together. Now taking a look at how the team overall performed, Shinobiism Gaming, again, Johnny was the main counterpick decision for Gunfight's Alex, but it didn't play out the way he wanted to. Right, he was talking about how he was cheering for his team. Momochi was the one that followed suit afterwards against Crusher, and that was complete annihilation, 2 games straight. And a lot of it came because of the resources utilized, right? Going into it, Momochi actually had some words for fellow competitor and teammate Fujimura. He said Fujimura was an entertainer. Inaba also had just played so well, but I knew Fujimura would do better. Please look at the playback to see how our team was getting excited.
I mean, I'm going to get that real soon. We are going to get that review, but I like how he's like, you should watch that back. That was hot, was it not? If your team's winning, it's definitely going to be even more hot. But Momochi very happy at how Fujimura performed. And Yamaguchi saying that the last play was awesome. And they're talking about how Momochi was able to practice because the birdie player, ROF, was there from Australia, and they practiced a birdie match with him. I forgot that ROF was in Japan recently. I just saw them that they were at Momochi's place, had the practice right there to get ready to prepare for Crusher, and that's probably why it was so dominant.
So yeah, ROF was actually in Japan. He was getting shown around, I think, by one of his friends. He had mentioned it on Twitter. And then he actually had a gaming session scheduled with the entirety of the Shinobiism squad. So these guys were pretty much well-versed in the birdie matchup. So that was really, really fortunate timing. I don't know if it was one of those things where it's like, hey, we want to invite you over just for birdie practice. That would be kind of cool if players would be like, hey, we'll put in the funds to like have you travel over to Japan and get some of this practice going. So shout outs to the Australian community, man. Again, these guys are definitely heavy hitters as well. And it's so cool to see that kind of collaboration, nation to nation, in regards to Street Fighter. That's really quite the story. Really big ups to ROF in that regard. Fujimura had his little ending to say in regards to how he performed, but taking a look at the stats first, the anti-air department, 8 out of 17. You couldn't stop this man from jumping even if you tried. And even when you did, it ended up in an L. It's really unfortunate, but that's just how the cookie crumbles. Taking a look at the throw tech success rate, 13% from the side of Fujimura. That's difficult as well. Bison can definitely blow you up off the counter hit. 12 out of 23. My man was grabbing. He was trying to get every item off the shelf. He thought it was on sale. But Fujimura, again, he asked the question. He's like, how was it? I won. I wonder about my gameplay, though. I don't think I played well game-wise. I think Inaba-san played better. So I don't know how I actually won. My daily quest is I will continue to play. So I'd imagine Fujimura would probably fire up the stream. Same with Momochi. Same with like majority of these cats. If you guys haven't done so already, please be sure to follow him on Twitch. But 30 points for the side of Shinobiism Gaming. Big congrats.
Big congrats as they move up in the rankings, or I should say, stay solid in the rankings and move closer and closer to Good 8 Squad. We'll have to see how Good 8 Squad performs when they come up on the screen. But once again, Shinobiism Gaming looking at 300 points and looking super close to Good 8 Squad. And again, all these players, all these teams, at least in the qualifications, though, are in such close contention, such close space. Even better than what we saw, I think, in the last league. So that just shows you how strong these teams are, how close these things are, and how close these games are. Even someone like Fujimura being like, bro, I didn't think I played well enough. I thought Inaba played better, was able to squeak it out. However, when we look back, I think Fujimura definitely had some better decision-making in terms of Inaba. But we're going to start off with Johnny versus Mr. Gunfight right here, doing a fantastic job of utilizing that forward fierce, outpoking this character with the right buttons and getting up close and personal with that light into the command grab or forward fierce mix-up, and was able to stay really solid in terms of defense. Even though it started getting blown up, I like the fact that he stayed to his game plan of just letting the V reversals rock up in the corner and staying solid when it comes to the V trigger, because V trigger for G is all about that corner situation more than the robbery. Staying real solid right here, going for the V reversal. That got called out, which was great. But again, not taking it off the table, saying, you got to kill me before you ruin my game plan. And this is a big win for Gunfight overall.
I got to ask you first, in that situation, do you think that was intentional from Gunfight to go for the V reversal, knowing full well that G could cancel into command grab? Because you saw the amount of scaling involved. The damage afterwards was very minimal, but it also got rid of his trigger because he canceled into it, right? Or he canceled into the command grab. Do you think that was intentional from Gunfight?
We saw it multiple times in that match, so I definitely think it was. I think it was for Gunfight. So I'll take this command grab once or twice rather than take whatever else may come his way. So I think defensive-wise, we saw great defense. Yeah. What do we see in this match, though?
Yeah, so Shinobiism Gaming with Momochi, pretty much runner-up afterwards from that match, had complete dominance. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I think he just had complete dominance as soon as he built up his meter. I think there was a lot to be said with Crusher's offensive capabilities in the beginning. As great as it was out the gate, that's still the kind of gameplay that Momochi is expecting and what he's most comfortable with. He's ready to wind down the clock and be as explosive as ever with the amount of meter he builds up, right? He's building up V-gauge for himself. He's sitting there blocking, getting some EX bar as well. That's just adding fuel to the fire for an archetype like Cody, right? Being very explosive and high damaging based off of the meter he uses. So a lot of pretty much call-outs against Crusher. No surprise for the 2-0.
I gotta say, Fujimura, you said you don't know how you won. We definitely know how you won. You were checking a lot of the dashes continuously. You were starting to utilize that V bar in a different sort of way, V shift, into getting punished, and things were looking good for Inaba. You know, off the start, a lot of the scissor kicks were landing, a lot of the down four fierces were landing too as well. But Fujimura was able to do something different on defense and find whip punishes and stay more solid. He was also checking the dashes quite a bit. You saw the purple dash, forcing out Inaba to have to walk him down, and then the layer were starting to come through. And the jumping situation, we talked about these jumpings being at a weird angle, that jump medium kick reaching right behind the neck. And man, that V-shift connect after the super, that was super sick. Then at the very end, Fujimura going for the V-trigger situation continuously, making it hard for Bison to come through, being able to get that chip out situation, or the lead timeout situation, I should say. But even right here, rearing back enough to stop any advancing specialists from coming through, and this was super sick, Vicious. Being able to get that last hit, that last say and play. So activation.
I think that moment where Inaba had gone for the Devil's Reverse, I think that's what killed him. Right, I think he was trying to chip away at Fujimura, and Fujimura getting the dash under was so smart, right? If Inaba had been able to get himself out of the corner and reset into like mid-screen, I don't think he would have faced the same repercussions. I think he would have been able to avoid the Sandblaster, or at least react to it, have more time, more leeway to react to it. I think it would have been a whole different tale. I think Fujimura felt the same way. I think that one instance, Inaba not being able to maintain the corner pressure, or at least utilize the real estate of the stage, it really bit him in the end. I was just looking back at it, it's like, oh well, he could have gotten away. He could have still ran away with it with Devil's Reverse. It's just really unfortunate.
Yeah, but the way that things played out, Fujimura taking the victory, 30 on the side, Shinobi's gaming against Team Itsuka, and then above you see GyoGun losing to Team Detonation in their run back. Previously it was GyoGun's win. It was a 40 bomb, but Detonation coming back, still being explosive out here. Team Detonation, Itsuka, well, for sure for Team Itsuka, they're on the bench. Team Detonation needs to play perfectly, and they still may be out of contention, as you see up here. Good 8 squad, Shinobiism Gaming, Oja Body Star, Saishun Console, Kumamoto, V6, and GyoGun are your top 6. And Team Detonation and Itsuka, that means GyoGun still needs as many points as possible. They're tied with FAV Gaming, and we're going to see who is going to be in that qualification zone as we get further and further in these weeks of Street Fighter League Japan.
Here's how it plays out, right? Team Detonation, they need 2 40-point games. V6 plus FAV Gaming or GyoGun need to score absolute zeros going into the next matches. That's the only way for Detonation to go through. If they manage to get, right, if they manage to get 80 points, they can get 265. So I guess you could say Nagoya Oja Body Star could possibly mess that up. Any of the teams that are at 260, if these guys absolutely flub it up and manage 0 points for these last 2 weeks, Camouflage Detonation's in there. I don't know what the odds are statistically of that happening, but that's really difficult, right? Detonation has to face off against Saishun Console Kumamoto as well as Shinobiism Gaming in week 14. The rest of the teams, they still have so much more to go. But this is the schedule, right? Nagoya Ultra Body Star versus Good 8 Squad and Saishun Console Kumamoto versus V6 plus FAV. That's coming up for week 12 in the roundabout. Yo, St. Cola, love doing this with you, man. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well, and everybody that's been tuning in. We hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. It's been such a wonderful start to week 12. We'll see you for the rest of it here on Street Fighter League Japan. Take care.